We live in an age where those in power are openly using every weapon at their disposal to impose their will upon the future. Where the principles of authoritarianism and individualism stand in open conflict in the streets, in the courts, in the news, in everyday life. Where the choices we make and the choices that are made for us have consequences no one can foresee. You do not stand alone. You do not fight alone. You do not suffer alone. We are united. We resist. We are here with you. As long as there is a truth that remains hidden, as long as lies are spread openly, we will continue to speak out. We will continue to question. We will continue to be the united resistance.
Man, we have been fighting them until we can't for 50 episodes now, and I'm still blown away that we have made it this far, and you know, it feels like we're only just beginning. So I want to say thank you to everybody, first of all, that has supported the channel from the beginning of what started as Rogue Resistance and turned into United Resistance. And I'm so grateful to you guys for that. And we built quite a dedicated audience. We built a following. And, you know, from that first episode where we had J.R. Majeski to that epic interview with Laura Logan to when we first had on Chase Geiser and we first had on Jasmin St. Clair and the first time we had Alura Jenson on. You know, it's
now
just,
Elizabeth Fragrance.
Yeah, who is, you know, now going by Elizabeth Spraggins, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, we can finally say that. But you know, it's awesome that we've made it this far, you guys. And I would not have been able to put this show together without the awesome people behind the scenes, the awesome co-hosts on this panel that I have. But most of all of you viewers, and I want to say hi to everybody in the chat before we introduce our panel this evening. So hello to Big John. And, you know, Big John was a big fan of Alura's in her, when she was in her former career. And he got turned on to the show by being a fan of hers that came over and watched the show. And it's like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And then, of course, John and I became friends because he discovered I lived in Ohio and he also lives in Ohio. So he's been a big supporter of the show. And John, I just want to personally thank you. And, of course, I want to thank Tobat all the way from North Carolina. Tobat, thank you so much. You have become such a good friend, and I appreciate you. Fury Kitten, I want to thank you for your support. Fury Kitten has been watching the content on this channel since just about the beginning when we started with Pegasus Actual. So thank you so much, Fury Kitten. Vince Womack, love you, Vince. It's great to see you. Gap After Dark, thank you for all of your support and always being here. Sean Eastep, hail to you, buddy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And of course, we have a number of ladies in our chat. Tina Bojan, thank you so much. Tina has always been so supportive, from tossing super chats to modding to you name it. She has done it and supported the channel time and again. So Tina,
sweet, the porn bots are here already.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm following the links.
Porn bots are here already, baby. Didn't take long.
Should I say they're early or they're late or I don't even know.
And
they were going to ship. They were going to show up at some point.
and
They came right on time.
And it goes without
set you up for that. See, he knows I set him up for that.
It goes without saying.
Well done,
thank you to our very own Last of Truth, Trina. She is the goddess mod. She's the, she has been here and she has been an amazing friend and supporter. And I am thankful to have you in my life, Trina. And thank you.
She's also getting a little ahead of herself, isn't she?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for everything that you've done. Dwayne and Rita, same thing. Dwayne, you and Rita have been amazing, and I appreciate you guys following me through this journey. The lovely Sherry, hail to you, darling. Great to see you. And yeah. See, here's the porn bots. Hot girls are waiting here. No, we're gonna have
welcome. No,
we're gonna have the hot girls.
Local girls in your area, Guilo.
Yeah, but without further ado,
wait, the sign didn't used to say that. Wait, forget
it. And hail to the Time Prophet, by the way. Thank you for always being here, TP, and supporting the channel. And of course, Brightest Days in the house. He needs no introduction. The man that created the intro for the show. He's been such an integral part of the success of this channel. So, Brightest Day, thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And Zach, I love you, man. You are an amazing friend as well. So we've said all our hellos to the chat. Let me get through and introduce the panel. Of course, we have Jasmin St. Clair, who's going to be joining us momentarily. But we've also got Eric Matheny at probably 15 past the hour. Will be here shortly. So we got a lot of things to talk about with him. But the panel, we've got Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. He's been here, since, dude, Tommy, you've been here like from the beginning, man. Through everything.
Yeah, I have. Can we cut out all the mushy stuff already? I tell you, you sound like a bunch of slack jaw bundled sticks in here. Let's just rub each other's cocks and get it over with at this point. Can we move along with this, Drew? Let's have some fun.
All right. Hail to Terminus Best that's in the chat. Also, Janet from Another Planet is here. Yeah, it's great to see you, Janet.
Hello.
And I'm so glad that you became a part of this show. The man that needs no introduction, Etepukuyan of the Place to Be Reviews.
Hi, congratulations, man. Congratulations on 50 episodes. Sorry I missed your call the other day. I've been dealing with a really sick kid. But it's good to be here. Great panel. And yeah, this is like a star-studded panel tonight. I feel underdressed, but like I said, put me on solo because I brought some friends. I brought some friends with me tonight, and I wore this when I was in Vegas last month. And this is the true American horror story. And yeah, I got some looks walking around with this on, but I got a bunch of nods too, which is always nice because you wear stuff like that in the hopes that somebody's gonna be like, wait a minute, like nice or yeah, because it's the truth. It's good to be here, man, and I'm glad that we still have 9,986,000 days until all the votes are counted from the midterms. I'm looking forward to collecting Social Security and finding out if Carrie Lake actually won or not in Arizona. Thanks, Drew.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Hail, of course, to Steven, Free Speech Gaming.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, this is awesome. 50 episodes in. I know I'm not the earliest people on the panel to be here. I didn't show up quite the earliest, but been here for a good long time, and we've watched it grow into a solid audience that we got showing up every week. It's great seeing everybody here. And as far as waiting on that midterm results, well, I wouldn't hold my breath.
Hey,
we'll see it sometime next millennia.
And of course, Will is here.
Yes, sir. 50 shows, man, and I know calling me Mr. Late to the party. I wasn't on the. I wasn't here for the first couple of months, but that's just my MO, man. I won't join something until I know that it's the greatest thing ever. And it didn't take me long to figure that out. Congratulations to you, Drew. Congratulations to all of us. Congratulations to everybody that watches, listens. You're all a part of it.
Yep, and hail to the Time Prophet, and of course, again, thank you to Elizabeth for coming on. And I wanted to start off tonight's first topic because I've seen a lot of things recently in the past 48 hours about the Azov battalion and them basically sitting there and using people in these towns as human shields. They're trying to essentially, it's almost like they're trying to portray the war a certain way and try to go out of their way to inflame it beyond belief. And we all know what the Azov battalion are. They are flat out Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So what you're saying is when Jews start disappearing from Ukraine, it was definitely Russia.
Yeah.
9999999. You got it all wrong. It was Russia all along. Listen to us.
The other thing I wanted to get your take on, Elizabeth, was what did you think when you saw, because I'm sure that you raised an eyebrow when the media tried to portray that missile incident as Russia shooting a stray missile into Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to gaslight Poland into a conflict with Russia.
Yeah. I don't believe, in my opinion, it was the Ukraine that sent the bombs, or what do you call, fuck man, my blood sugar's low. It was the Ukraine that actually sent bombs to their own people. So they're trying to, of course the guy looks like an idiot because he has no business running a country. So he's got a big boy response to them fucking up their own people.
Yep.
Well, Elizabeth, that the president of the Ukraine is a World Economic Forum guy,
and also the cousin, direct lineage to George Soros. So they're related.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this is confirmed, folks. You can look this up. If you have had a question about Zelensky, if you do your own research, you'll find he is directly out of that program, out of the World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders program. So, hello, Tappy, over on the Twitch side.
Hi,
Tappy. Yeah.
So
Zelensky.
wait, how did he wind up in that program? Because I thought he was an actor and like a shitty comedian. I mean, he was the best comedian that the Ukraine could get together, which is not saying much.
Well, I guess all I can say is
Ukrainians,
a better comedian.
They're traditionally not funny people. They're just not. And for record, we did not take any Jews. We did not take any of the Jews. It's not us this time. It would be, you can blame the guys with the blue and yellow flag.
Well, I want to have everybody please keep in mind or consider when we have this discussion that Zelensky was an actor, is an actor. So who else do we know of that is completely brain dead and incompetent yet in charge of shit? That would be
Yeah.
good.
Take your pick.
Yeah, we know.
John's
My-
better
my
than-
avatar?
Elizabeth.
My
That's
avatar?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, you guys are making fun of me in my. Is somebody around? I need to smell somebody's hair so I can form a sentence.
oh God. Wow. I honestly believe that these totally obviously incompetent people are in charge of something now. It's because they don't have the faculties to actually be in charge, which gives the outdoor people a backdoor to making these decisions. It's all
Right.
fuck, man. I saw this from the very beginning.
Well, they're puppet leaders.
Oh yeah.
If you look at most of the leadership, and we could go across the West, all right. Macron in France, World Economic Forum guy. Justin Trudeau, Canada, World Economic Forum guy. Zelensky, World Economic Forum guy. Biden, World Economic Forum guy. You stick his teams with them. And you can
Dan
go
Crenshaw?
right. Yep, Dan Crenshaw was in that program.
Mm-hmm.
You
There's
know?
a few.
Yeah, Cyclops
Americans.
McCain himself.
Yeah. Papa Cotton says the average normie thinks this entire conversation is tinfoil hat loony crap. And yeah, he's right. Because so many people are unawake. They don't realize what's going on in front of them because they can't navigate through the layers of minutia. They're seduced and hypnotized by what they see on the television. They're so used to going to the network news. Oh, it must be true if CNN says it. Oh, it must be true if Fox News says it. But
There is
yeah.
But
there's
Go-
a
go
story
ahead.
circulating online that CBS left the network Twitter, but then came back like the very next day or something.
Mhm.
Oh, they came
Because-
back?
Yep.
I didn't
really-
read that they came back. It doesn't surprise me.
Not CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I want to welcome in a gentleman that I have so much respect for. Eric Matheny is in the house. A great attorney. The guy knows the Constitution in and out. And Eric was actually at Mar-a-Lago when Trump announced. And dude, how was that when you were there? What was that like?
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me back on the show, and congratulations on your 50th episode. That's amazing.
Appreciate it,
I know
brother.
the amount of work it goes into to doing this, and that's really a huge feat. Mar-a-Lago was incredible. I mean, the experience and the energy was palpable, and I think we need that because I think there's been a lot of infighting within MAGA, America First contingent, and I think we needed to see Trump out there. We need to have everybody kind of reorganize and get behind him once again. Because there's a lot of infighting, which by and large is created by the media because, behind every DeSantis versus Trump story, there's somebody trying to gain an inroad to split them apart and have someone take 30% of the vote and break up the movement. But he's the guy. He's running. He's going to run in 2024. It was amazing. I got to meet a lot of people, see a lot of old friends. But he's there. It was definitely subdued. It definitely was a little bit of a different approach. I don't think he's going to stay that way. I think he's going to revert back to the Trump we know and love. And I hope to see him on Twitter. I know he's got True Social, but I really do want to see him getting back to the forum that he's so good at. But all in all, it was a great, great time. And I look forward to 2024.
It might not
Yeah,
take long
absolutely.
for him to get back to Twitter because they already invited back Kanye West. I mean,
Yeah,
where do you
yeah.
go from there?
Yeah, I think he's going to be back sooner than later when it comes to that. I think he'll be back on Twitter because I think he knows, he's effective. And yes, Lasso, you're 100% right. As much as I like some of the things that Tulsi's saying now, yeah, I mean, you can't get away from the fact that a lot of these people have those WEF ties. That it's just that's out there, and it's hard to navigate the circle of trust to know who's legit and who is not. The thing that I wanted to ask you about, Eric, because this is big news. Merrick Garland coming out the other day and basically announcing that he's pulling by the way, this guy that is an expert character assassinator type of prosecutor, which is Jack Adams, I believe is his name, and using him as a special counsel, not one but two cases, by the way. And how is that not a conflict of interest, having him as a special counsel on both, but then sitting there and already trying to beat a dead horse when they've already said the documents in Trump's possession were nothing of substance. So, so how are they bringing this forward? I mean, where is even the constitutional backing for this?
Well, the constitutional provisions for a special counsel exist. I mean, we've had special counsels since the days of Watergate and before. They already had one. His name was Robert Mueller, and he died like a dog. He completely fell apart, and nothing came of it. And now, very quietly after the midterms, the Washington Post says, oh, by the way, there were no nuclear secrets or nothing sensitive over at Mar-a-Lago. He just likes to keep mementos, and we've been saying that for months. Meanwhile, every blue check is crying to high heaven. This guy's got nuclear secrets. He's going to sell them to Russia. It's going to fall apart again. I haven't paid any attention. When they said special counsel, I'm like, it's Mueller all over again. You've seen those memes where there's someone screaming in 2016, right, we're finally going to see Trump in prison. We're in 2022. This is it. This is the roadmap going forward. They're going to say that every turn. I think we need to ignore it. It's all noise. I think we have to learn how to harvest ballots. That's what all conservatives should be doing right now, is working within the bounds of your state law and learn how to harvest. Any Bass Pro Shops, church event, gun show, country music concert, there should be Republican Party affiliates right there signing and registering people right then and there. And during election season, we're passing out ballots. Hey, early voting here, drop them in this box. If the Democrats can do it, we can do it too. We're not going to change the system. It's a lot easier to work within the system that we already have, unfortunately, in a lot of states. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept the reality of it.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of curious. Did you say gun shows?
I did.
I'm ready to do a little harvesting at some gun shows.
Nice,
It was all Splenda's
nice.
fault, by the way, people. It was all Splenda.
It was Splenda's fault. Watch my video from a couple days ago on that. It was all the Splenda packet's fault.
I want to point out a comment from our chat. Eric, I don't know as far as details on Adams. Apparently, his wife gave $2,000 to Biden and was also involved in the documentary making with Obama's wife. So that's pretty interesting. And again, I don't understand, but I guess we should recognize this. This is the Democrat playbook now. There are no moral scruples. They don't go by the rules. It's all. This is just how they operate, and it's so blatantly crooked, man.
You're wrong, Drew. You're wrong. We make the rules.
Well, whenever anybody says anything to me about Trump stealing stuff and going to sell it to Russia, I'm like, what are you worried about? Hillary Clinton gave away uranium one. I mean, so what's the big deal? I mean, even if he did make a deal while he was president with Russia, all the other people have done it. So, I mean, they're just full of shit. That's all I see is just shit everywhere I look. Sorry.
Yeah.
Janet's cussing more than I am tonight.
I'm upset.
Damn.
I'm upset with the fact that and Eric's dead on. This is a new way that elections are. They've laid out the terms, and now it's time that if you want an alternative to the Democrats, the Republicans have to match, and you're going to have to play in the dirt now. This is just how it is. Unfortunately,
Get in the sandbox.
We can't keep. All right, well, that's fine. And like I said, man, I vote Republican. I'm a libertarian, but I vote Republican because I know what time it is. And we can't keep getting people like Mitch. Nobody wants Mitch McConnell there. Nobody. He's a piece of shit. He's bought and paid for, and everybody goddamn knows it. And he's well, just slow down. And Lindsey Graham with the whole we're gonna do a nationwide abortion ban. Now I don't care where you stand on it. That's your personal business. What I'm saying is, for him to say that right ahead of the midterms was like taking your own gun and just shooting yourself in the foot before a firefight. It makes no sense. That was the stupidest thing he could have done.
To a degree, you're right, but you're also wrong in one sense, and this is why. Hear me out. So most people, normal thinking people, don't want Mitch McConnell in there. The people who are established in the office want to keep Mitch McConnell there to keep the status quo going.
Yes.
Those are the people that we're fighting against at this point. And unfortunately, unless people vote those fucking people out, the people that just never leave office, it really is difficult to change a lot of shit, because we see what everything that's going on with the elections. A lot of these people that are established in office don't want to see the status quo going away, because that's going to be their asses on the line the next time elections come around.
No, establishment,
absolutely.
Establishment Washington is you know, they don't want to give that up, because that it keeps their pockets fat and it keeps them in power. They don't want to give that up. That's why so much of the establishment is more uniparty than everything. See, a lot of people aren't hip to that.
Yeah.
Well, they can say and do whatever they want. The they own the media, so they know there's no repercussions.
And see, new school conservatism, like Eric was talking about with America First, it's good because it's more grassroots. It's more rooted in, you know, constitutionalism and the true.
So it needs to be.
And the true definition of conservatism, you know. And I before I get Eric's take on that comment, I wanted to go over to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, what did you think when you saw that Trump was announcing again and he was going to be in for 24?
You guys want my honest opinion? And this is not going to be a popular expression among conservatives or reforming Democrats and leftists. What I see is one big, unbelievable mind fuck. It's all a manipulation. And why I think about this in this way is because there's a lot going on, and all of these people are connected. Yes, even Trump. So until he delivers on one of these promises, to me, he's no better than all of the others.
On the policies that he had, though, last time around, I mean, it's undeniable that the country was in better shape than it is right now.
Yeah.
Just the fact of all the people, all the children he saved, and all the women and people from trafficking was more than any other president I've ever seen. So he did do things.
Well, he did, but on Elizabeth's point, and I want to thank her for being honest, because I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump sycophant. I'm not a Trump cultist. I don't think he's the golden calf. I think he did some great things. I think he also made a ton of mistakes, and it is incumbent upon us to call him out on those mistakes the same way you would call out your child if your child came home with an F.
Absolutely.
You don't say the teacher's corrupt, everybody's out against you. You say you didn't work hard enough. Trump really dropped the ball when it came to COVID. He really seeded our leadership. He seeded Fauci and Birx. And I'm speaking as a Trump supporter who voted for him twice, was at Mar-a-Lago last week, and I will call him, I will tell that to his face. And what really pisses me off, and I want to speak on behalf of good friends of mine who have been ostracized from the MAGA movement. Matt Couch, one of my best friends, is on a list. He's on a list right now. He is awesome. He's a great human being. And he's on a list right now with people who had the gall to speak out against Trump. If you go on your social media, you go on a stream and you say something that's not 100% complimentary of Trump, guess what? That's okay. And if you're there, you remind me of Nick Adams on Twitter, who's going, Donald Trump's got a dick like a baseball bat and he can manipulate matter with his lines. Retweet if you agree with me. I hate when people do that. It's not true. The guy is a flawed individual, but he did a great job with some respects, but he needs to do better elsewhere. He cannot have his daughter in his orbit. He cannot have his son-in-law in his orbit. He needs to make better decisions. And if we're going to, it's not enough for Trump to win in 2024. Trump's got to be a great president in 2024 because we're in a bad place right now. And we need a great president to pull us out of it. And he listens to his base. If we sit there and we tell him, Mr. President, you look great. You're wearing beautiful clothes. He's walking down the street naked. What good are we to him? We need to be the ones to tell him when he's not doing what he needs to be doing. So I want us all to be brutally honest while we're supporting him.
Well, that was one of the things that I brought up a long time ago, Eric and Elizabeth, too, with their points on that. And one of the things that I remember early on in the early stages of Trump's first few months that he was in office is he changed the tax codes. And everybody quickly forgets about that. And they said he never did any wrong. But I remember everywhere hearing people complain and whine about how they owed money to the federal government, how they were worried that they weren't even going to be able to get by this tax season because of what he pushed with the new taxation laws. And everybody seems to sweep that under the rug and forget about it and say that he did no wrong. Once again, a lot of the stuff he did, especially the stuff he was doing in the Middle East, truly amazing stuff. But yeah, you know what? He makes mistakes too. He's a human being and he makes mistakes. So don't put him on a pedestal like he's the golden calf.
100%.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I definitely don't.
We can't do that because then all you're doing is you're feeding the media narrative that we're a cult and we're not. And you can't ostracize people on the right, influencers and people who have voices because they don't toe that line. Trump is not a God king.
That's right. 100%.
No, I'm glad Eric brought that up about his response to COVID because that was one of my big beefs. Is like nobody to the right of center was really begging for a vaccine. Nobody was begging for that. That was the people on the other side that used that, and then they basically weaponized that and oh look at how many people he let die. Look at how many. It's like he gave you what you wanted. He gave you now the whole he did. He put too much into Fauci, and I'm in the same camp with you. Like I voted for him twice, absolutely. But if he messes up, I'm not gonna sit back and be like, oh no, that's fine, because it's not. Because we're dealing with a series of idiocy and stupid faux pas now by this administration that's made up of criminals and morons, and some are both. But no, Trump, no, he does. He needs to be held accountable. And he put the people he put around him, and you alluded to it with Ivanka and Jared. But outside of them, a lot of the people he put in place were just, horrible establishment.
Okay.
And that was a lot of the issues too that came from inside his administration. Oh, so many people left. Well, they weren't with him to begin with. Accountability is key.
One thing I said from the very beginning was, why didn't he get rid of those White House staff that were already there? There was a lot of things that he didn't do right off the bat that I was surprised because when the other presidents go in, they fire everybody. Start with a clean slate.
And I want to put this out there. Why did he get rid of good people? Like, you get rid of somebody like Steve Bannon, who is a great mind.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve Bannon. The dude's incredibly intelligent. How do you not keep that guy around? Because he knew exactly what was happening.
Because Trump conflates platitudes and ass kissing with loyalty. So if you go to Donald Trump and you say, sir, you look great, your tie looks amazing, nobody has ever looked as good as you, he'd say, that guy's a great guy, keep him around. And he was getting played by people that were close to him. The people that he needs around him are the ones that are going to be honest with him and tell him what he needs to know. It was not the Reince Priebus's, it was not the General Mattis's, it was not the Bill Barrs. And unfortunately, and here's the thing, you can't expect Trump to change. He's a billionaire who's been president and he sleeps with a supermodel. He's done everything right. He's not about to change who he is. It's worked for him thus far. So we need to work within the bounds of what we have. We have a guy with tremendous ability who has showcased that ability in some wonderful ways. The economy, he was so strong on the economy. World peace, we had no new wars. Why? Not because he's some geopolitical genius, because he is so unpredictable. The other guys in the world are like, I'm not going to mess with the United States. I don't know what this guy is going to do. He's the one firing off missiles at Syria when he's having dessert with the premier of China. I mean, that's just the kind of gangster moves that he has. Nobody respects Biden. Everybody says, oh, thank God we have Biden here to support Ukraine. We wouldn't be in this situation if Trump was in office because Putin never would have pulled this. So we need that strength back. We need peace through strength. We need to project strength. Our border is a disaster. I'm so thankful that the Republicans are actually addressing that coming in. I was a little apprehensive about them having this House majority, but they're like, Mayorkas, you either resign or we're impeaching you. That's even ahead of impeaching Biden. They're never going to impeach Biden. They could actually impeach Mayorkas. They could get rid of him.
I think part of the
failing upward.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stephen.
And I think
Stephen.
part of the problem with Trump that we see is he tackles a lot of things like it's a PR campaign. And I understand that he wants to try and keep a certain amount of goodwill in the public image, but he tried bringing in people early on that were going to be different than the status quo. You know, he talked about draining the swamp the whole time during his first election cycle. And when he got in office, he was bringing in new people that could have brought in new ideas and helped boost our economy. Maybe not have the best social policy from these people because they weren't career politicians. But within, 2 weeks, they were leaving in the droves. I mean, he had Elon Musk in there at one point in time, and he left almost immediately because they couldn't handle the attacks coming from the establishment. And as soon as that happened, he tackled a lot of things as if it was a public relations issue, like he would on his TV shows. And he put in people that he thought would get support from the establishment and support from the news. And it took him a little bit too long, I think, to realize that the news media was never going to be on his side, no matter who he put there.
Well, I think he's had enough time to look at what's happened, what did happen, and hopefully he's going to look at that and say, this is what the people want. He's still in touch with people at the rallies, and he's going to make way better decisions this time. I really, really feel that because that's the kind of person I feel in my heart that Trump is.
Well, here's the bottom line. I agree with what Eric said. I want to see him be more just come out and own the fact that, you could have done things better on the vaccine front. You could have at least taken some pause before you rolled those vaccines out and, done some in-depth studies and everything else. I mean, all he did was enrich big pharma to a ridiculous degree and get this thing going, and he caved to a lot of pressure. That's the thing that I was upset with. And also, any president that gets in there, if we could get a Republican in, and I hope it is Trump, then one of the first things I want to see is we need those political prisoners that are there out immediately. It is ridiculous. And I can tell you from personal experience, folks, you guys know I was on the ground covering January 6th. I was there live streaming from there, walking along Constitution Avenue. Those people were not militant. They were not trying to stir up trouble. We had bad actors in the crowd that were there specifically. This was an operation, and if you don't think it was an operation, then you are so fooled by the mainstream media, because it was. The three-letter agencies were in on it. They had Antifa in on it. They had BLM in on it. They had, other agencies from foreign countries in on it. This was a complete political operation to demonize a wide swath of the voting public. That was what it was. Okay, it was not the way it was portrayed at all at anybody. And if you notice, it's establishment politicians that came out that night that were trying to say, oh, this was as horrible an attack on the United States as Pearl Harbor, blah, blah, blah. And you had both Democrats and Republicans saying that. It was ridiculous. But I can tell you from experience, from being there, it is not what the media portrayed. And
of course.
These people need to be let out.
Well, all I know is I know Drew. I've known Drew for a long time, and when he did what he did, and everything he said and told me about it, and watching his videos and stuff afterward, I trust him more than I trust the other people. So, if he says what he saw, I believe him.
I believe him
That's
too,
just
but
the way it is.
my biggest beef about January 6th is that we missed a messaging opportunity months earlier. January 6th could have been anything. It's just how you message on it. You could say it's the worst thing since Pearl Harbor, worst since the Civil War. We could say that about anything. We had that opportunity the summer before, May of 2020 through October of 2020. There were riots in 75 cities. 25 people died. There were billions of dollars in damage. And I feel like Republicans sat back and we said, oh boy, the Democrats are digging their own grave. This is going to come back to benefit us in November. We didn't stop to think that if you'll burn down your own country, you're probably going to steal an election at the same time. So
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't have the Insurrection Act invoked right away. I think, another criticism of Trump, I think he should have done that. I also think we should have impaneled a Senate. We had the Senate. We didn't have the House. We had the Senate. We should have impaneled a Senate subcommittee right away, say investigate these riots. Who's funding them? Who's sending people there? Who's setting up these bail funds for these rioters? We could have had our own January 6th. Instead, we went one little afternoon where most of the people that went there were your grandma and grandpa from Iowa who just wanted to take a picture because they thought they were allowed in. You had a handful of people committing crimes. You had a lot of bad actors and feds. And look what they blew it up. It's the Reichstag fire. They blew it up when, oh my God, look at the right. Look what they're doing. They're doing it with just about every act of violence that goes on. If God forbid someone with, Paul Pelosi, they're finding out now very quietly, the guy was some Green Party fanatic. They said, oh, MAGA, he broke into his house with a hammer. All they need is that headline because the correction is on page 6 and it's in small print. If they can just get that headline, remember, they're appealing to the lowest common denominator. This is a low information society. If I can give you a headline, you don't need anything else. Your mind is already made up.
Well, why wasn't every single one of those governors in all those areas where all those riots were going on and they sat back watching it happen and they actually encouraged it? Why weren't any of them put under investigation when this all sat? And you're exactly right with the whole Trump thing.
Well,
he sat
should
back
be complicit.
and he was like, let them get what they deserve, which I think was the wrong approach to begin with. He should have sent National Guard in. He should have done something and not sat back and watched them make fools of themselves, because really all it did is encourage other people in other counties and other parts of the freaking country to do the same damn shit that they were doing out west.
Yep.
Well, look, that's what happened. Look at that Chaz autonomous zone in Seattle. How many sexual assaults took place there? How many people died there? I mean, geez, they took over an entire. This is one thing. Being from a law enforcement family, like having a background in it a little bit, it always makes me laugh when you see these things happen, and it's like, oh well, they took over a police station, and I'm just like, so there was no police in there. They're just at one point like, you know what? We're just not going to do this today. Like, you want to come in here and try to do this? We're just going to start laying people out. And I know the optics of that. Oh, they're people. Well, at that point, when you break into a police station and with the intent to commit multiple felonies, I mean, we're talking arson, property damage, probably physical assault. And then you have assault on an officer, and it's going to be any prosecutor is going to go with intent to commit murder on that, which is, I mean, you're talking about, okay, not the Soros prosecutors. I'm sorry. It's sad that I have to make that distinction when you're talking about somebody harming a law enforcement officer, and then how they're just like, all right, let them have it, and just let them have they just throw their hands up, and it's like, you see them trashing cruisers and stuff. Like one car, it's like, I still, like, if that was my cruiser, I'd be like, you know what? I don't care if it's going to get me off the force. I'm going to take a couple of you down before you torch my car. And my dad was a Detroit police officer during the 1970s after he got back from 3 tours in Vietnam. I've heard things, and it's like I feel like there needs to be a blend between actual law enforcement and, obviously a peace officer role, but letting crazy people overwhelm an entire police station and just saying, oh, the hell with it, that really sends a bad look. That is a horrible look.
You are starting to see a little bit of pushback now with some of these people in law enforcement.
Yeah, because all the people that were defund the police put more money into the budget the next year because they're like, oh shit, crime rate shot up. We can't have this. Yeah. So they figured out that virtue signaling because of St. Floyd of fentanyl wasn't a good idea after all.
Could you imagine that? Can you imagine? I see Gap Stargate. He said what also needs to happen is all these people need to go to jail and meet Bubba. I agree and disagree. Okay, now this is why. I think they need to go to Guantanamo Bay and they need to get themselves a roast to meat sandwich. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, the whole thing with the crime and stuff is sad because you see it from in every state, not just the states where you saw some of the really bad riots. I mean, when you have people being able, you're standing in line at the grocery store to buy a few things, and then people push you out of the way with garbage bags, and they're filling it up with stuff right off the shelves, and then they just walk past you and push you out of the way again and walk out of the store. Why should I turn around and buy my 4 items when they just left with $900 worth of product and nothing happened to them?
Yeah,
and I'm paying 10 times more for my 4 items because of them stealing.
I wanted to get Elizabeth when they were originally doing the defund the police. What was your thought on that? And like, where have you seen the crime go since?
I absolutely 100%, with no hesitation or doubts, support our law enforcement officers. Every one of them. Even the ones that go a little bit too far or go very much too far, that does not change my opinion of the organization of itself. So there's all this hate, they hate the police, the white man's out to get you, all of this other shit that we've been listening to, because back in 2019, he had to do something extreme or people would be like, this guy needs to go pound sand. So even now with the hate the police, all these emergency news stories about shootouts. Well, guess what, assholes? Shootouts happen every day, but they're picking and choosing which one to make a big deal out of. And that to me is dishonest. You can't trust somebody who can't tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's today's media, though. Eric, you know how the media manipulates stuff. They cherry pick crimes at their leisure and say, "Hey, look, this was racially motivated."
Well, of course they do. I mean, look at Chicago. I mean, there's an equivalent of a Parkland. There's an equivalent of a Columbine in Chicago every Friday night. But you don't hear anything about it because it doesn't toe any media line. What happened in Colorado Springs is absolutely tragic, but it is no more or less tragic than the shootings that are going on in this country day in and day out. We're experiencing societal collapse. We're experiencing what happens when you have a generation that's been raised to believe that authority figures have no authority. We've been raised to believe that police are inherently bad and they're out to get you. And we have DAs that come in and spread the message that you don't have to obey the law. There's no consequences. So you have people, first of all, I'm an attorney and I'll be the first to tell you, it's not the good-hearted nature of humankind that keeps us safe. It's the fear of consequences. It's like, it's not the benevolence of the baker that you get your bread. The guy wants to make a living, and that's fine because we all benefit from that. The same thing with consequences. You may be a sick son of a bitch, but if you're afraid of going to prison and that keeps me and my family safe, I don't care what your motivation is. There are a lot of people that their only motivation is fear of consequences. You strip the consequences away, it's a state of nature.
Yep.
Well, it went straight to after the shooting at the Q Club there, it went straight to the people that advocated for this are Lauren Boebert. They pointed the finger right at conservatives and said, they're anti-LGBTQ. And then the other thing, of course, with what they do every shooting, let's ban assault weapons immediately, blah, 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 which again, those of you in the chat, and I love you guys because you're smart enough to know an AR does not stand for assault rifle.
They always go right to the AR-15, and that is not an assault. That is not, it does not stay. I love that when that's an assault rifle. No, that stands for Armalite rifle. If you're not a complete smooth brain piece of shit, but if you are, you can keep thinking it's an assault rifle. It's a big scary black gun. It's like, I got 3 of them. Fuck off, because I can, because it's my constitutional right to own them.
ETEP, how many times have they said they would rather see people have shotguns, and a shotgun with a slug round in is going to do a lot more damage than a 5.56 round from a rifle.
I go buckshot slug. Just one to let you know I'm there, and the second one's going to put you down on them little. Oh, dude, that's the thing. Is like any weapon is deadly. Any weapon, a 22 pistol is just as deadly as a 44 Magnum in the right hands. It can do just as much damage. That's the thing. So, yeah, legal gun owners like myself, it's not my weapons don't go out unless I'm going hunting or going to the range or I'm exercising my right to carry. But these yeah, you're gonna take you want to take my rights to protect my family away, and my Second Amendment right. That's okay for some. Why? So the criminals will always have them because God knows they don't get them through. They don't procure their weapons through legally acceptable means. So let's punish us. And yeah, Eric brought up that point about Chicago, and I want to bring up Grand Rapids, Michigan, because I used to live right north of there. And Grand Rapids used to be a beautiful city. It still is in many ways, but after 2020, well, it turned blue. Grand Rapids is always a conservative city. The DeVos family, big time there, the DeVos Medical Center. The crime there has gone up so exponentially so much since 2020. There's the business owners now. They're having they opened this new nightclub. It opened December 31st of 2021, right? They spent 3 years planning this club opening. They had to shut it down, not because any problems in the club, because they have two of the best security firms in West Michigan they employ to keep the inside of their club safe. They have 500 to 600 people every Friday night outside their club, and there's fights and there's shootings and all that happy horse shit. And so they shut the club down. And all these businesses in downtown Grand Rapids, which I go to concerts and stuff down there, you walk down there at 2 a.m, you feel safe. I mean, there's areas that it's like Detroit. If you go 2 blocks outside of downtown, you're at your own fucking peril there. That's the way it is. You better be carrying or know where you're going. But no, Grand Rapids was not like that. And now, like, business owners are talking about they're having to get extra security. They're having to get they're getting concealed carry permits. Now these little shops, these boutiques down there that are in a nice area, and they're having all these issues. So I'm working on a video kind of about that too. For my new channel. But yeah, that's it really bothered me because Grand Rapids is always such, I spent a lot of time down there when my son was in the hospital, and it's such a nice city. It really was. And to see it kind of, and I said, watch, it's under Democrat. It's blue now. I said, in 10 years, I said, you're going to see it's going to look like Saginaw, Flint, and Detroit, which is fucking sad. It's sad. Yeah.
One thing that talking about all of this, the defund the police, everything that makes me think of is there used to be a point that the left had that I actually agreed with that they've completely abandoned, and that was that we needed better training for police officers. And I always thought hand-to-hand combat training, they need to do that better. They need to have regular classes that they take on that. Get better people in there to just teach them, because right now they get like an 8-hour course that they have to take once, depending on the jurisdiction that they're in, because each area does it by themselves. They have minimum firearms training that they really have to stick to. Now, most cops who are actually on the beat will go ahead and do this themselves, and they'll cover all of this themselves. But then you have people who are on the job for a long time, and eventually they wind up having to go to their tool belt way too quickly, and that does contribute to, I'm sure, some shootings that, while justified, could probably be avoided. And
Eric, yeah, I was going to ask Eric. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but weren't they? Wasn't one of the things, because I've heard that one of the things going on at this Club Q was they were having a grooming type of event there. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I know that alarmingly this is becoming the norm. All these freaking grooming events with children.
Well, we have to be able to separate the two, and this is what the left loves to do and why they're piling on this particular tragedy. Like I said, this is a tragedy. Nobody who went there deserved to die. And the whole anti-LGBTQ, we are the most tolerant LGBTQ country on the planet. We look at what's going on right now with the World Cup, and that's how they operate in that country. They don't have tolerance for things like that. We're a much more tolerant nation, and nobody's anti people living the way they want to live. If you want to identify as transgender, you want to be gay, you want to be a lesbian, I'm a true libertarian in that fashion. I don't want the government involved in my marriage, let alone the marriage of 2 men, 2 women, or 10 men and 10 women. I don't care what you do. Just leave me the hell alone. Where we get into the weeds is with the exposing children to sexual content. I don't think a child should be brought to a drag queen story hour, a drag queen brunch, any more than my 12-year-old son and his friends should go to a strip club. It's inappropriate. Children don't need to be exposed to that. If you want to go to a drag show, my wife in college used to go with her friends to drag shows. That's what it's for. It's for adults to go and have fun. You enjoy yourself. It's not for kids. Now, this shooter went to this location. They were having some kind of drag event. He opened fire. A very brave retired Army major took him out barehanded.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy's a hero. Look,
absolutely.
absolutely, and it's tragic, and the guy's going to get the book thrown at him, and may he rot in pieces. But to conflate the two and say, okay, the people who are espousing anti-groomer rhetoric, who don't want children to be exposed to childhood, sexuality and to drag shows, are directly responsible. No, the shooter's responsible. The shooter's responsible for his own conduct. The police departments that knew about him the year before, the prosecutor that let him go from a kidnapping charge a year prior, they're responsible for that. It's not because someone tweets. I don't think children should go to drag queen shows that this guy committed the crime he did. So that's where the left likes to piggyback on these tragedies and try to make a political statement. It's a horrific indictment of the state of our country. We're in a lawless society. We're witnessing societal breakdown. Violent people are committing violent acts. And you notice that it's always the same thing. They were known to law enforcement. They were all known to law enforcement, and nothing happened. We can separate the two. We can say it's not a good thing for children to go to a drag show, and it's a terrible thing for someone to walk into a drag show and kill people who are there. We can have that conversation. The two are not married to each other, and that's what we have to be able to have these debates about. Is they're not one and the same.
I got a $10 super chat here on the YouTube side from TZ Burton. He says, Drew, congratulations on 50 episodes. I still believe conservatives need to reclaim the cities. The leftists just follow us if we move out. Seattle used to be beautiful.
It's going to be difficult to do if we lose. If we've already lost all our industry to China. That's part of the problem. Conservatives will move to areas where you can have good jobs.
Exactly.
And you can't do that in a city anymore because there's no industry there.
Yeah. Papa Cotton mentions Alex Stein. I couldn't help it but except chuckle my ass off when he went by those Antifa people, and he just pushed that guy out of the way casually, and the dude fell, tumbled. And I was just dying because those Antifa people act so hard, and they're about as soft and brittle as
they're basically like communists. They're not real people, so it's like stepping on ants. It's like stepping on ants.
Oh man,
let's be real.
Foundation for a house.
Yeah.
They're as hard as Charmin, let's be honest.
Elizabeth, are you scared of those Antifa people?
Not one fucking bit. Not one fucking bit. And I'll tell you why. Because they're hired actors. They're hired crisis actors who just happen to destroy shit and burn down cities. These are not. I doubt half of these people actually believe what they're trying to prove to others. I don't believe it.
Oh man. Eric, I would probably laugh my ass off if I saw a crowd of Antifa people ever in my town.
They're probably all sitting in their safe space with their crayons, maybe.
Yeah, we don't get too many of them here in Florida. I mean, to touch on what you guys were saying about reclaiming the cities, I don't know if we can do that. I think the important thing is to maintain and contain where we are now, the states where we have strongholds, the rural areas. We need to prevent these, because what happens is you have people in California who fail to see the forest for the trees. They're like, well, my rent on my 1,600 square foot apartment is now $5,200 a month, and there's a homeless encampment on my driveway. I'm going to leave. Right. So I'm going to go move to Arizona. I'm going to move to Texas. I'm going to move to Florida. But I'm not making the connection. What policies led to that exodus in the first place? They come here and they gentrify it to some degree. So we need to prevent that from happening. We really need to maintain our conservative strongholds. And if you're coming here, you better learn the lay of the land. I mean, this is why we are what we are. Florida, we showed them in the midterm, 62 of 67 counties were bright red. We kept Ron DeSantis by 19 points. He trounced Charlie Crist. One of the main reasons, not only do we love him, he's an effective governor, but he basically made it impossible to cheat. He spent the last 2 years fortifying our election systems where, unsolicited mail-in voting, ballot harvesting, all that, that's out the window. We don't do that. And we have a strong conservative stronghold to show for it. So I don't know if we're ever going to take the cities back, but I think we need to maintain the rural areas and maintain the red pockets of this country. And if you look at a map, I mean, most of this country is conservative.
It really is.
I've met a few people that during the big boom where they left California and moved to Arkansas near where I'm at, and they found a plot of land and they had a house built, and they went on and on about how, and it was a lesbian couple, and they went on and on about how beautiful it was here and that they were surprised how friendly people were because they were told that when you move there, you're going to be treated like dirt, blah, blah, blah. And I just told them, well, I'm glad you love it here because it is a wonderful place to have a family and to think about putting roots down. I just hope that you just think about when you decide to vote, that you vote to keep it the way it was when you came here. And they smiled and said, we are. So all of
I
it
think
now
one of the big problems now, we've kind of gotten to the point where a lot of people are looking at conservatism and they're thinking automatically extremism. That's where we've got right now, and that's mostly because of the mainstream media and all the freaking social media outlets that have been pushing this freaking false narrative. I mean, at one time, you used to have a lot of people in the Democratic Party who were freaking conservative. To an extent, they were right down the middle. Unfortunately, the left-hand extremists have pushed all those common sense people right out the freaking door at this point. And the ones that are still there, they're being silenced. What will we ever get to a point where do you think it's right down the middle again, where we've got a fair amount of both, so you can actually have like civil discussions, or do you think that this push to push people conservative into an extremist position in the right is never going to change?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good point you make. I talked about this on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. Is we can't be pigeonholed. I don't fall into one particular category. I identify as conservative because I think that's where the majority of my beliefs are. But I have a lot of beliefs where I'm liberal. I have a lot of social ideas. I'm pro-gay marriage. I really, as far as like human rights and LGBT, I really don't have a dog in the fight. Legalization of marijuana, basically make your own decisions for your body autonomy. When it comes to national security and it comes to fiscal issues, I'm very conservative. Culturally, I'm conservative too. I do believe in traditional family. I believe in the nuclear family. I believe in the importance of family, but I don't ever want a government powerful enough to tell people what they can and can't do as far as who they can love and who they can marry. I don't think a straight marriage should be any more related to the government than a same-sex marriage. So the idea that you have to be one or the other, because I agree when Lindsey Graham came out and said they were going to overturn Roe v. Wade. They were going to do that before the midterm. I thought that was political suicide. I thought that was a terrible idea because you have a lot of people on the right who are like, no abortion under any conditions. Every pregnancy is an act of God. You have people on the left who are like, abort them till they're born, doesn't matter. You have a lot of people left, right, and center that are in the middle saying reasonable restrictions up to a certain point. But I would never, I'm not, and we get lumped in. They say, oh my God, you would force a 10-year-old rape victim to carry their child. I would never do that. But we get lumped in. I think when we start looking at the, only like 6 to 7% of each party is extreme. Most of us are in the middle, and it's okay to have views that are not in line with conservatism. It's okay to be liberal on some things, and liberals, it's okay to be conservative on some things. I know a lot of liberals, when they get a little bit older and they start making a little money and start having a little more adult responsibility, they get conservative really quickly, and they start thinking about how much they're paying in taxes. And when they see our Congress sending Zelensky another $37 billion, like, well, wait a minute, I work really hard. How much of my paycheck is going to that? Right. So I think if we can strip down those titles and realize that we have, you can pick and choose, ideologically, we're a lot more diverse than I think we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, I think so too. I wanted to just say, real quick, because we got a super chat from Fury Kitten. The opposite of brain is probably the arse. It's nowhere near as intelligent as the brain. It doesn't have to be, as it only needs to make very basic calculations. I am also 50 this week. Twinsies. I was going to say, honestly, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but when we, good night, Rugo. Take care of yourself. Thank you for being here. I wanted to say really quickly, and Elizabeth will get on this one because she loves this jam when I go on this stuff. But
Get
look,
me started.
most of our problems started, and Eric, you might key in on this too. You go back to the League of Nations and stuff like that. When we got into even back before that, the central bank cartel was what kicked all this off with all these people lusting for money and power because they figured out then when they started off with central banks, they can control the populace through the manipulation of our money. And so, we've been on that hamster wheel since. And these people are just, through all of these decades as we've gone, they've really made this grab for power by introducing, the stuff straight out of the Frankfurt School and the cultural Marxism and everything else. And this is the modern day growth of where that started. But it all started with the central banking cartel.
No, it absolutely did. And, it does keep us on that hamster wheel. I mean, we're a debtor nation. They've sold us the American dream, but, you can't buy it outright. You got to finance it and you got to pay for it over 30 years and they own you. You really don't own anything. I mean, the bank can take your house. Repo Man can take your car. Pay for, live within your means, spend cash for things. Don't buy on credit. I mean, everywhere you go, they try to start you off when you're so young. I remember going off to college and every other kiosk, they're giving away free pizza and concert tickets and it's Visa or MasterCard. Hey, sign up for a credit card today. And they get us on that real early. But as long as they can, control us that way and can control what we can buy and how we can buy it, we're going to be debt slaves. And getting off that debt wheel is very, very important. And I think that's when you really achieve true freedom. With that being said, guys, I got to rock and roll. I want to thank you so much for having me on and congratulations. This is a great program. I love the way you guys do it. You guys all have so much to say and you got a really interactive chat. You got a great fan base. So I'm honored to be a part of it and I'd love to come back. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
Thank
Eric.
you for coming.
Eric, you always come and kick some knowledge, dude, and I love it. I love talking to you. Unfortunately, I wanted to get you and Chase on at the same time, but he had some stuff to do with the client.
He's great. He's a good friend of mine. He's great.
But I got to get both of you guys on one of these nights, man.
Sure.
We just need to go ham together on some stuff. But yeah, Eric, thank you for being here. Make sure you guys check out Bob and Eric Save America. That's Eric's show. They have a killer podcast. You can subscribe at that link that Priest Peach put in the chat. And it's one of the best podcasts out there, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
He and Bob do a great job. So Eric, thanks again for being here, brother. And I'll chat with you soon, man. Take care of yourself. God bless.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Good night, Eric. Man.
Yeah, I got a dip too, Drew. I got to head over to Tony's.
No problem. We'll let ETEP talk about what he has.
Wait a minute. Did he say dip? That stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
I'm already there, boss. I'm already there, but a little extra can't hurt. Hi, how you doing? I'm Etep Okuyan from the Place to Be Reviews. That's where you can find me pretty much every day. Live streams Monday, Wednesday, Saturday nights. If you're a channel member, you get 2 extra streams a week. I put out videos all week, sometimes edited by my wonderful editor extraordinaire, Good Stuff Comic Skater. And right now I'm going over to my brother, my man, Tony Tonedev's channel, and I think we're gonna do some wrestling talk tonight. Maybe get into a little bit of the Arizona situation with Kerry Lake and Calvin and Hobbs out there and all that fun stuff too. So thank you to this wonderful chat, Drew. congrats on 50, man. And here's to the next 50, onward and upward, my brother. And this panel, I'm happy to be here as always. This chat is wonderful. Elizabeth, it was really good seeing you again. Janet, Tommy, Stephen, Will, and of course, Drew. Love you guys. Have a great evening. And I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
I wanted to say, like, it's like, see, Tobat's ready for Will to have a channel already because he's already asking Will, when's our show?
Mm-hmm.
I see how it is trying to steal my co-hosts, Tobat.
Yeah, I always had this dream of I finally have a channel and Tolbat is the only viewer, and he's just constantly like, nope, that's not good enough. Do something else.
I'll tell you what, Will. If you decide to run a channel, I could probably loan Rorschach out to you to be a co-host.
He'll have one of his guinea pigs.
We're not quite at the vetting co-host stage yet, but we'll get there.
Okay.
No, the thing I wanted to say, with earlier, because
I read that.
Free Speech put the link out there.
I didn't do that. What did you?
No, you put the link out for Elizabeth's life coaching.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, folks, it's an amazing endeavor.
Going there right now.
We can just talk about it like it is, Drew.
You're remarkable.
Thank remarkable. I'm stumbling along the way. Can I provide you guys a very, very brief synopsis of the
Sure. Go.
I was overseas for the second time working for a company that severely internally injured me. Yes, it was an explicit assignment. There are a lot of activities that are not so socially acceptable going on, but these people were operating a way which took me almost 4 months to heal from it. And I got a message from God after something else happened on set. And God told me 2 words. He says, "You're done." And I was like, cool. I came back and I walked away and I never looked back.
Yeah, and one thing that they say, and I can say this as a person of faith, God talks to us.
Yes.
And he sends us signs. It isn't something that you can audibly hear all the time or anything else, but you see the signs, and he'll put it right smack you in the face with it sometimes. But when you're getting that sign, and I'm so just overjoyed to see you with that glow and with what you're doing with inspiring others, and that's the biggest thing. And Tehillim, you are in my prayers, my friend. I love you, buddy. And that's the biggest thing, I think, because in all of this, and don't think for a second that we're not facing quite possibly the end times.
Yes, I believe that.
And we need as much light as we can have in the darkness of what's going on, folks. And what Elizabeth's doing now, what she's dedicated herself to, is so worthwhile. It's so awesome. And I hope that we can all get behind and support her in that endeavor, and at least, share it out, amplify it, get that signal going, and really, share that message with people. Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I wanted to clarify for those who are not familiar. I'm super itchy, by the way. I just had surgery today. One of the things that I want people who are recommending this so badly to understand is that I launched this life restoration, these value restoration, and of course, life coaching. But the reason I did this is because people like me and other people who have really fucked up their lives, and while they're trying to recover, they don't know why, they don't know how. So that's what I do. I teach people how to unfuck themselves. Pun totally intended.
Yeah, reminds me of the thing from Full Metal Jacket. Unfuck yourself.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, I'm following you on Twitter now, and anything that you want to pass by me and for me to share out, I would love to, because anytime I meet anyone that's trying to better themselves, that's one of the things that I try to live my life, by trying to help others. And anytime I meet someone else that wants to do the same thing by using what happened to them in their life to help other people help themselves, I think is wonderful. So
definitely, I appreciate. What is your Twitter? I'll add you right now.
It's Janet and Another Planet. I think it's last at the end 9 or something like that. But I just followed you a little earlier, so I'm sure you'll get a request from me. But I just wanted you to know that I'm gonna support you.
Are you shadow banned?
I hope not.
No
I
results.
might be. I did send a tweet out earlier today. I talked about it before we went live, that I might get booted because of it. So maybe I did.
I'm gonna find it. Supreme
But
Heretic.
I sent you a request.
No, I don't see it. I'll find it, because I really think you are a powerful influence.
I'll text you her Twitter too.
Please, thank you, and all of you. I mean, my former life over 15 years was offensive. So I understand if you don't want to follow that account, but that's where all the good shit gets said. But I opened up a new business Twitter too. Has one post. I'm still working, you guys.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing is that Janet is an absolute sunshine lady, and that's what I love about Janet. I always tell her, if you was here, I'd marry you tomorrow. But
I would too.
She's one of the most gem of a person that you could hope to meet.
Oh,
wonderful person.
This is slowly turning into the reality show Who Wants to Marry Drew.
Oh, thank you, Drew. That's so sweet.
And I'll mediate, but I don't want to participate.
No,
I'll participate. I'll marry you, Drew.
I bet you will.
That's cool, brother. It's 2022. It's all right.
Rorschach's Journal, 11/22, 2022. Was asked by Drew if I would marry him, and I whispered, "No."
Hey, Tommy.
I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
So marry Drew. I'm not. I'm
back with this one.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, we're changing people's lives.
This way more.
Change your life and marry Drew.
This way more. The arm.
No,
sorry, I can't scratch you guys. I'm not allowed to use my arms, but sorry. Okay. So is there a way that we could all maybe do a reunion sort of thing, get together, sit down, have some coffee, or something more spirited for those who enjoy that? Can we all sit down about our businesses and shit? You guys are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. One of these times, if we can organize up a meetup, that would be great. And I know a lot of people in the audience would come for something like that if we could do that. So yeah, I know. Right now, Elizabeth, things are crazy over here because I'm, getting the house ready to get it on the market and try to move and everything. But
I'm helping him get his shit together so he can leave me all alone up here.
But once I get to all moved, because I'm planning on moving to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, nice.
So once everything is settled, yeah, I would absolutely love to do something like that. And Big John wants to say thank you to you, Elizabeth, for introducing him to our show, because he was, as I said, he's a big fan of yours, and it was your first appearance on this show when he came over and started watching, and he stayed for every episode since, and he's become a big fan and supporter of the show, and it, and I'm just so thankful to you because when I reached out originally and asked you to be a guest on here, it's just so wonderful because I fostered a great friendship with you, and I'm so thankful that that we built that friendship because you're a very, very wonderful person, and just like Janet, you're full of light and full of sunshine, and I love it.
I could see that right away. Like I could actually feel your positivity and your encouragement coming off of you, like a vibe. It's so cool.
Well, I love life, and I love making people laugh and smile, and I just wish that everybody would try at least once a day to make someone else smile or laugh, and how much better our world would be if we could all just
Amen.
take 5 minutes out of our busy life to do that.
Well, you know what, Janet? I was sitting in the back laughing because my asshole meter is always going off constantly all the time. So when Drew was talking about the meetup with her and the phrasing he uses, I'm sure a lot of people would come. I think you probably should have said following, because as soon as you said a lot of people would come, I just started laughing my ass off in the back.
Oh my God! I didn't mean to make a double entendre, Tommy.
Well, we've been talking about doing a meet and greet. Some
This is
type of meet and
constant,
greet for a
24
while.
hours.
Yeah,
I love it.
Dwayne, one of my
Join us at the
regular
meet and greet. A lot of people will be coming.
one of my regular viewers, a
No,
couple
just trying to-
from Iowa, Dwayne and Rita, they said, and I think they're directing this towards you, Elizabeth. They said our daughter fucked up her life at one time, but has now found her calling as a counselor to help other people with addictions. I will get her your media channel, Elizabeth. Thank you.
That is amazing. I'm actually starting to consider raising donations. So a lot of these people who are really in bad shape can be scholarshiped into one of the programs. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm going to. Oh, there's a
Yes, and in the back we've got Jasmin, just waiting for Jasmin to get her audio and video set up, and then I want to talk to Jasmin a little bit about the what we were talking. We touched on it briefly earlier. I want to talk to her about the groomers and stuff like that. But as soon as she gets her audio. Yep.
Oh, it's a dog. Okay. I was on the fence there. Well, what could that be? It's a dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
The defense doggies.
All right.
But
yes, they saw a squirrel.
Yeah, right.
So
fart in the wind.
as soon as Jasmin has her audio and video set up and her mic going, we'll get her in. But no, the other thing that we were talking about from before, when we get really deep in the weeds about what's been happening, everything has always been manipulated, and people want to persecute like Alex Jones, but he's been on the thing about the globalists for God. He was OG. He was right on it before a lot of people were.
A question for me, because I'm a little confused. Alex Jones, I've known of his work for a long time, but what did he actually do to get him banned from Twitter? What did he do?
It had to do with the Sandy Hook stuff, because Elon made a big post about it. And you know what? I can kind of understand Elon's feelings to a degree, since I've had kids of my own. But at the same time, if you're talking about free speech, you're supposed to be able to allow all speech, because the Supreme Court themselves have said there's no such thing as hate speech. So please just mismute that. If you don't agree with it, guess what? You can block those people. You can ignore those people. You don't have to sit there and get offended.
Jasmin, do we have your audio? Are you there?
Hi, Jasmin.
Hi guys, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, I'm on my burner phone. I've had a very bad day today with my normal phone. But yeah, I know, Drew, you know how to trigger me all the time. Whenever you start talking about groomers, you really get me triggered and I start going crazy.
Yeah. Well, we were having that conversation last night, Jasmine, and it was one of those things. I mean, you are passionate about, and I love you for the fact that you protect children, you advocate for children, and you are outspoken on the matter. And listen, it's something that we all should be outspoken about because children are precious. They are to be protected. And, we should not be having people trying to sexualize them at these ages. Okay. It just should not be happening, period. And all of this shit and them trying to normalize pedophilia and everything else. I mean, look, let's just be honest. The LGBT community, they dropped the ball by letting these people come in, infiltrate, and basically take over their community because they've railroaded out, and alienated the regular gay and lesbian people. And I know this because I have a lesbian couple that I'm friends with, my friend Jessica, that I've been friends with for over 20 years. Her and her wife are deeply pissed off about what the gay community has turned into, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And for the pedophiles to now try and hide in it, it's absolutely, oh my god.
Well, that's actually a term that they use that people who know what this stuff is, we use called teaming. And that's a term where these sickos go ahead and protect themselves under the LGBTQ terminology. And they have nothing to do with it. These are sick people that are looking to dismantle the nuclear family. They go after the most vulnerable component of it, which is a child. Now, in New Jersey, my friend's daughter brought home a toy, or the son. He's autistic. He's 6 years old. You tell me what 6-year-old child gets this round thing like silly putty-ish, puts the finger in the center that shoots up a damn rainbow, whatever, rainbow lights that has some kind of brown fur around the center. So now what are you doing? Are you going after kids that have emotional handicaps as well? These people are not going to stop. These people are doing nothing more than turning more people against the LGBTQ community who do not know the difference. And it's our job to get out there and educate them because these people are coming for your kids and they're not going to stop. We have to be louder. I don't care if we have to be crazier. Heck.
Yeah.
I got crazy.
Well, you know what, Jasmine, I think one of the big problems there's so many people that are in those communities that are just completely unaware of what's going on or just turning a blind eye to it. Because my wife works in law enforcement with the Florida Highway Patrol. So whether people realize it or not, yeah, there are people that work for the Florida Highway Patrol that are gay. It happens, believe me. So she has a few of those friends, and they have no clue about some of this stuff whatsoever. Like they are not plugged into any of this stuff. They don't know about it. And there's so many people that are maybe big members of that community that are not aware of what's going on or turning a blind eye when they should be standing up and saying, no, you can't bogart our thing to try to push your ridiculous agenda. And really more of those people need to wake up to what's being done to their own community by outside forces.
Yeah, what I've seen in through friends of mine, down in the NOLA area, is them preying on single moms. Okay, because they're lonely, they need more help because they have a job and they got a child and they're trying to juggle that, and then they step in and say, "Oh, I'll watch the kid," or "I'll help you with the kid," or that kind of stuff. "I'll take it to the zoo," or what, different things like that, and they befriend these single moms, and the next thing you know, the child later on is saying, "Oh, this is what's been going on," and the damage is already done. But it's just sad because they know that women are more vulnerable, especially when the guy likes your clothes. You know what I mean? It sounds terrible, but that's what they do. And it is true that most of them are not even gay. They use it to get prey, which is the mother, the single mom, and then as being befriended, and then also using the mother to get to the child. And it's just a sad fact of life what we have right now, that you, on top of losing your spouse or whatever happened in your relationship, now you have to worry about every person you meet being a potential animal that wants you for your child. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like the Kevin Spacey defense, he gets
Yes.
essentially busted diddling kids, and it's
Mhm.
I'm gay, that's just
Yeah,
unfathomable
that's
because I'm
exactly
gay,
Well,
that-
here's the thing, and I want to point out something that the Time Prophet said. The teachers have been brainwashing kids for 30 years now. The stuff that I've seen recently with these videos, and shout out to Lib's TikTok for doing what she does by exposing these teachers. They're teachers that are teaching these little kids, and they come out and they're talking about trying to help little kids transition. They're confusing them and trying to teach them pronouns. What the hell? What the hell, man?
It really shouldn't be surprising. Schools are the #1 place where child molestation happens in this country. It's not churches, and it's by a magnitude of over 100. For every one child that gets molested in a church, there's hundreds that get molested in schools.
Yes, Papa Cut, yes, 100%.
But the conversation shouldn't, when a kid comes home from school, the conversation should not be, hey, did you do your homework? It should be, what did you talk about in school today? And that is where we're at. That is exactly where we're at. What did they talk to you about in school today?
I mean, my goodness, Jasmine, can you imagine if you had a young daughter right now? I mean,
I'd murder someone. I'd cut everyone's dicks off that go near ever went near her. I'd rip people's eyeballs out and make them eat it, because these are sick people and they're not homosexual. And it's really unfair to those people in that community to be teamed into that. These are pedophiles. And they're not like, it's not like a man dressing up as a clown going to a kid's party. This is someone that is going out there to harm kids, and they're giving them hormone suppressants, for Christ's sake. Hormone suppressants.
Well,
Jasmine, I think one of the things, I think a lot of these idiotic parents that are scared to say anything, because they've got all this shit now where they actually come down on these parents. If you say something to your kid and they say you're emotionally suppressing your kid, I seen that towards the tail end before my daughter was 18 and she moved out, where these freaking teachers, well, you can't say that kind of stuff. You're emotionally suppressing. Get the hell out of my face. When you start paying her way in my household, then maybe you have some input on how I raise her. Until that day, get the fuck out of my face.
Well, they brainwash them. We had this talk before. They brainwash them. Gabrielle Clark has all the those resources for parents whose kids have been groomed, and also with the CRT thing as well, because she has had her kids were victims of both CRT and grooming.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Elizabeth, when you see those videos with these teachers and pushing kids to transition and things like that, and trying to teach them pronouns, and we're talking kids that are like kindergarten, preschool, first grade, second grade, what goes through your mind when you see these videos like that?
This was a deliberate oh my God, please be quiet. This was a deliberate invite. They designed everything that's happening right now. When the campaign in 2019, I believe it was, when they were inviting waves, practically states and countries of people to come through our border, they used it as a propaganda machine, and it worked, because now that they're here, we've now got an alternate slave labor force. We also have plants that feel obligated now to prove that Democrats are better than anybody else. Because you guys, I'm not a Republican. I'm also sort of a center conservatives. But what I see that very first day was they're importing a fighting force and a slave force. That's what's going on right now. I don't give a fuck if somebody's going to pick tomatoes off of wherever you get tomatoes. They're here, and now they're obligated, because if they don't do what they're told to do, they get booted right back to their country.
Yep.
No, man. It's just God, society is just going in such a way, and I don't want to. I don't want to go to the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah card, but it's gone to the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, and
Yeah.
and somehow we have to get back to, and I said this to Jasmine last night. And by the way, I don't want to be rude. Jasmine, meet the former Alura, Elizabeth Sprague.
Yes.
Elizabeth, meet Jasmine. Um, you know, what I wanted to say though is, when I was talking to Jasmine last night, I said, "Look, I want the America back that we grew up in,
Mhm.
that had a moral code. Yeah,
Right.
we had our vices, but we had a moral code. I want to get back to that."
Yeah.
No children at any time ever. No children, or the likeliness or suggestion of children. That shit needs to stop.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows, everybody on the panel already knows that I'm a huge advocate for children, and I'm constantly trying to get people to watch that one documentary. It's called The Eyes of the Devil. It's about
Hold on, let me write that
4
down.
brothels for children that are 10 and under.
Oh God.
Oh my
And it's
God.
pathetic, disgusting, and I wish everybody could watch it. It's a hard thing to watch, but it'll open your eyes to what depravity our world has for children. And
Excuse me, did
it
you
breaks
say-
my heart every time I think about it.
Did you say The Eyes of the Devil?
Eyes of the Devil.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to watch that tonight. Shoot.
Yeah. Oh, be ready. You're going to be pausing it a lot. You're going to need some support.
I found the deep, dark, never-ending rabbit hole. That's actually how Trey and I got to know each other, because I'm all the way in underneath of these succubuses of life. It took me months to be able to function again after seeing what I learned.
Oh,
It was bad.
It's made me bawl my eyes out. It's terrible
Mhm.
thinking about it.
Yeah, I gotta give Jasmine props. Jasmine has really been kicking ass lately, because she was telling me yesterday. Jasmine, I want you to tell that story you told me yesterday about when you were working working the elections. But she's out doing something, folks, and we're talking about how can we make a difference. Jasmine got involved and was working at the polls, and this is like where we can make a difference. That's how we could kind of try to temper some of this stuff. We need to get involved in our communities. And Jasmine, you go ahead and take it away.
Yeah.
And tell that story.
Well, which portion of the story would you like? Up until the point where I got fired, or which one afterwards?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell the whole
Okay.
story when you were working.
So I
Kind of a
posted a
spoiler.
photo on my Instagram of a ballot box it was one of those drop-off ballot boxes, and it was open for 19 hours. People were coming and going as they please. I called the vote center lead. I called the police. I made every single call. Nobody did anything for over a day.
Right.
So what?
I said,
people are
right.
going in and out. Yeah, well, yeah, let's just go in. But this gets better. I mean, I'm sitting there, and I did ask someone for their ID, and the guy barely spoke a lick of English. So I was a jerk, of course. I said, "Do you even understand anything that's on any of these ballots? Do you understand one thing or who these people are?" He didn't have ID. Then there are people leaving with their mail-in ballots, and I chased after a guy, because you're not supposed to leave with your mail-in ballot. And this is how easy it is to vote in California. So you tell me how in Europe they don't have these issues. Florida, they counted it in a day, and we're still trying to figure out who is leading the Santa Monica City Council. Oh, they fired me because I chased the guy down the street to get his mail-in ballot after he voted in person.
Yeah.
And this is what you have to do. This is what it comes down to. I will be vigilant. I don't care. I mean, I dealt with this for 2 days. The third day is where I was sent home.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Oh my God, Peach, thank you. You guys, I hate to do this to you, but I am heavily medicated right now, and I'm really struggling to keep my eyes open.
No, Elizabeth, under the circumstances, I mean, it's so amazing of you for making the time. And again, and just thank you for being such an awesome friend. Because I mean, you had a surgical procedure today, and you still came on here, and
major reconstruction done. It's pretty severe, but I wouldn't miss your show for the world, Drew.
Well,
especially now that I know Janet and Jasmine St. Clair. You guys are all my new friends. Shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, I just want to say, man, we really have to do this more often, Elizabeth, for sure.
I would love to, you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Drew, awesome show as usual. Thank you so much for having me.
It was nice meeting you. I hope you get better.
Hey, thank you. It's not so bad because I'm heavily medicated right now. Whew, but I need to fall asleep, you guys. I will talk to you all later.
All right. Hey, take care and feel better. And I'll reach out to you in a couple of days and we'll chat.
Thank you. Hey, Will, I noticed I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Hey. And for you, Free Speech. You guys have a good night. I'm out of here. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's just crazy, everything. And, you know, it's so scared when you come out about these. It's scary when you come out about these things because now people think I'm a homophobe. People think I'm a transphobe. These are uneducated people. And now California, like in LA County, whoever the hell voted for this Karen Bass woman is a moron. Yeah, let's get some more crime and homelessness up. So if my friend gets into city council, which they still haven't figured out because they allegedly are counting, I am allowed to try to propose some after school program activities for kids. I used to teach French to children of incarcerated parents, but more importantly, with parents that don't have the money to pay a babysitter and leave them in good places to be looked after, these are the only other options they have. And these are where they're starting to have pedophiles come in. They're not running background checks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Disgusting.
It is. And, you know, and there needs to be more options out there. And that's why school choice is so important, you know, because parents have to have options to send kids to some place where they're going to learn actual history and not get the Marxist garbage, where they're going to actually learn, you know, real science and not the junk science, climate change garbage that's a bunch of hokey bullshit, where they can actually learn, you know, and have the opportunity that we did when we were kids and we were going through school, when we actually learned what was real and not manipulated. Or at least it wasn't manipulated to the degree it was now, you know, and that's what's so important. But for the kids that are in, you know, kindergarten and the early grades and even preschool, I mean, that's just off limits. And having these freaks that are trying to sexualize these kids, it's just so awful. You know, Jasmine, it makes me so damn mad.
Yeah, there's only so much I can do. I mean, I already got involved in a school board meeting and I was asked to leave. Well, you know,
imagine that. You never.
Well, I said that a lot of those people didn't deserve to be parents because you're saying this is okay.
I fucking love it.
Cut your goddamn tubes, lady.
Is there any chance that this is on not necessarily YouTube, but did somebody post this anywhere?
I wish they did, but I promise, just for your amusement, I promise, Will, and I promise for everyone on here, I will have people start taping this because I do not I do not care. I'm going to say it. You don't care about what you're doing to kids, so why should we care about what we say? You know, these people, they don't care about the safety of your kids. So this is, again, this goes back to doing the same thing. Ask the kids always, what did you talk about in school today? And this is where a lot of things will be learned. And parents aren't reading the curriculum properly. We need to come up with other solutions for people that do not have the money to send their children to private schools, such as maybe, I don't know, castrating these groomers. I have no idea. Just food for thought. You know, what do I know?
Okay, so some of the other stuff you missed before, because I kind of wanted to get your input on it, Jasmine. So what did you think of Anthony Fauci coming out with his last speech ever today
Oh,
and still telling people to get fucking vaccinated.
Yeah. Let's go vaccinate you and your family, Fauci. Didn't he
Yeah.
mishandle the AIDS crisis? I think he's an idiot. I think he knows he's on his way out with millions.
Oh, he is
billions
out.
of
Yeah,
dollars.
this is his last day.
I mean, could he get sued even afterwards? That's my question. Could we still sue him as the people of the USA that were, misled? Could he still get sued?
Well, that
Unfortunately, no.
That documentary I sent you, Jasmine, the one that I watched, which I made the mistake of watching it like an hour before. We're gonna go live, folks. I watched this documentary, and it friggin' affected me like big time, because when you watch it, and I sent the hashtag so Jasmine could find it. The Died Suddenly documentary. If you folks have not seen it out there that are watching the stream, I urge you to watch it, because you're thinking on the vaccines, whether you're pro-vaccine or you chose not to get it, your thinking on it will definitely not be the same after you watch this documentary, because the stuff that is revealed in here, it confirms to you what you may have thought was conspiracy theory before. It is a fact. This was easily the biggest crime against humanity in our lifetime. This was not attempted genocide. It's partially successful genocide. And they are going to
again?
Died Suddenly.
That is the best title.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just starting to
fantastic.
hear about, over like the past month, the past few years, really, we've started hearing about sudden adult death syndrome. I mean, we've all heard about SIDS, which is a horrible tragedy and happens, but now we just have sudden adult death syndrome. Yeah, and it's always the healthiest people. It's always, European football players or soccer players, dropping of a heart attack on the field, people in the absolute tip-top shape of their life.
Yeah.
And these are the people who just happen to drop dead suddenly. And we also happen to notice that the places with the highest death counts going right now of these sudden adult death syndromes also purely correlation. Correlation does not equal causation, YouTube. But these happen to be the same places that have the highest jab count.
Yeah, but also the documentary, what really made me just go, oh my God, when I was watching it, wasn't so much what they got from the autopsies. It was the videos that they showed from all over the world of people just plopping over dead, and people having the same reaction where they're spinning in the exact same direction. And it was just, oh God, it was so creepy. And it was just devastating. I don't know how anybody could watch that and not feel like how horrendous this all is.
Yeah. It was a damn good documentary. And like I said, I can't wait. I can't, because I know I'll probably talk to Jasmine after she watches it. We'll commiserate over that one. but yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Fauci, listen, Laura Logan had it right when she called Fauci the modern day Mengele, and he is, and he's been in the middle of all this stuff, and it goes way back to what Jasmine said with the AIDS crisis, and he terribly botched that. He terribly botched that, because we all know what he was saying about, like, oh, you can't stand in the same room with anybody and this and that. He was talking crazy shit back then.
Yeah, and now we look at and we see all these kids going out there and they're having speech development issues because they've been having to learn how to speak while not being able to see someone's face for all these years. This is what they've been trying to learn to hear and speak from, is this right here for their entire childhoods.
Yeah. It's so terrible, and Terminus S says we need more investigations into the contents of these death shots. Mm-hmm. One thing I wish the documentary would touch on is the actual composition of the shots. Yes. And, and that is the biggest thing, because listen, we're out here trying to do our own research, folks, and we see things like the graphene and stuff like that. but nobody has put out a definitive list of what the actual things in there are, and that's what we need to see, because listen, it's scary.
Don't you think they'll come up with another one? I mean, when they were trying to drain some of the bodies of blood, they couldn't even drain them because the veins were so packed with that elastic type substance. They had to pull plugs out just to get the body to be able to be drained out. It was scary.
Yeah,
I saw on the local news tonight that they actually are close to approving a new flu vaccine.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Jasmin.
might be
In the doc, what Janet was alluding to in the documentary was a lot of the stuff that a lot of the people they talk to are funeral directors, and morticians. So they're working with these bodies, and they have to drain out the blood in order to embalm. And they couldn't even drain out the blood because the blood was messed up in these people. And it shows, like, the stuff they're pulling out of them is absolutely ridiculous. It just it's this weird thing, these weird looking clots.
Yeah, he said it was like calamari.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
That's what they were saying. It was like that they were taking out of these people's arteries.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was scary.
It'll be a while before I eat that again.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Well, it looked like elastic. I mean, I make lots of costumes, and it looked like if you take a big piece of elastic and you stretch it really, really too far, it becomes very stringy. That's what it looked like. It looked just like stringy elastic.
Yeah.
So where did that come from? Is it growing in there, or what's it coming from? That's where they need to start studying. When you inject something, why would it cause the body to make that? Is it like a form of something to try to protect the body from whatever it was that they put in it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. So.
Godzilla there put that so slickly. I love that. And that's exactly what it is. Our immune system is amazing. Trinoculus is exactly right. And that's why we have our natural immune system. When you start fucking with that, and when you start altering your body, when you start putting substances in it that are going to alter your makeup, especially to the degree that this does, I mean, it's ridiculous. But this goes along with that whole thing of transhumanism and everything else, because this is the stuff that this is a track that they want to send you on, and FL Lion 2112, shout out to him, man. I go way back with FL Lion 2112. He was there for the start of my streaming career. He was one of my original mods, still is a mod on my Twitch channel, and one of my old buddies that I gamed with and game streamed with. So shout out to FL Lion 2112. Great to see you, brother. And he says, sounds like the stuff they pulled out from my dialysis access in my arm when it clotted. Yeah, it's like that, but on steroids, FL Lion, and
head to toe.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking, this is inside your veins and your arteries and stuff. And I mean, crazy. But
it also pertains to your endocrine system, and it's all connected, unfortunately.
Right, because what this is doing to people, and I think the most alarming thing is when you watch the documentary, they explain about the pregnant women that got these shots and the amount of stillbirths that happened. And it's just shocking. That part literally almost made me break down in tears, because I was just like, oh my God, because this was basically, they would get the vaccine and it would kill the baby.
Oh God. And these are the same parents, by the way, that when they have the child will be the most meticulous people on the planet about what goes into that child's system. As long as the child gets born, okay. But but when it's still in the womb, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for anybody that says depopulation agenda is fantasy or it's conspiracy. It is not, because once you watch that, the proof is right there that tells you that this has been in the works for a long time. And I stand by what I say, that it's the biggest crime against humanity in our lifetime, which is because it's a mass genocide.
Yeah. What do you do now? We just can't roll over and take it.
No, Jasmine, we need to keep doing what we're doing. We need to keep opening eyes. We need to keep getting people to listen, to think. We need to do that. That's the most important thing. That is what I'm passionate about, because I feel that is my purpose. Okay, that is my purpose, and that is what I'm dedicating my life to opening people's eyes, keeping people spirits up, keeping them in the fight, because this is a fight for humanity. This is our opportunity to say, I'm not going to sit there and be ruled by authoritarians. I'm not going to sit there and die for your power and your money. I'm going to sit here and fight for the fact that I have a right to live. And we are fighting for our very right to live, to exist, because they want to wipe out most of us from the planet, other than a single elite class, which is why they want to get rid of the nation state, why they want to get rid of individuality, in order to consolidate us down to a mass that is nameless and faceless. And then there can't be any accountability. There's no victims. They can turn a blind eye. Well, that's not going to happen. Not on my watch. Not on people like Jasmine's watch. Not on anybody on this panel.
And you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I was just going to say, we're going to fight for humanity, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you know what? It sometimes just takes people one instance to open their eyes up. I used to be way against a lot of things that we talk about on here. I mean, just 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been like, a lot of this sounds really conspiratorial, and I don't know, I'm not so sure about it. But a lot of things have opened my eyes up, and the main one was, I heard Alex Jones talking about the whole time of, it was them selling off the baby parts from the abortions. I was like, oh yeah, that's crazy talk. They're not doing that. I mean, I've always been against abortion on an ethical and moral standpoint for myself, but I was like, oh no, that's nuts. They're not doing that. And then it comes out, it's like, oh wait, that is actually happening. And the other big one that from Alex Jones that kind of opened my eyes to it was years he was talking about, there's the pedophile rings, and they fly people out to islands, and they get them all together with a bunch of kids, and it's the top elites, and they can do whatever they want. Oh, I can only do that for so long.
Yeah, he was right.
But then Epstein happened, and it completely, that was the really big one that completely opened my eyes. So it was like, holy shit, he's been talking truth this whole time. What else has he been right about? And I started digging in deeper, and that's all it takes for everyone else out there in the audience.
Yeah, and we saw the flight logs. Jasmine, you saw those flight logs.
Well, I gave them to you because I was the one that sold them to TMZ. You see Clinton on a bunch of flight logs with underage girls. And how about Naomi Campbell? Why was she on those flight logs with girls who thought they were going to be Victoria's Secret models? Oh, that's right. That was his street credibility. So you have all these people on there. There are actors on there. There are people that are linked to Obama that were on those flight logs. It's like 80 pages of these flight logs. And, it just bothers me because people like this get away with it, like the traffickers. And it's weird because I don't know if you remember Peter Nygaard. He was a guy who had a company called Nygaard Slims. He had the same thing going on in California. And the one girl that was helping him get girls, she's married to a world-renowned plastic surgeon now, which I can't. And he.
Yeah. Oh, did she? She bounced herself.
It's like they were just saying in the chat there. What's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person in history to be sent to prison for trafficking trafficking underage girls to nobody, I guess. Zero arrests come out of it.
We still don't know who that took the kids. And do you think we'll ever find out?
No.
Well, we should. I mean, how can you put someone in prison for something when you don't have no people that she supposedly sold the kids to? That means she didn't commit any crimes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
you can't lock somebody up for probable cause, unfortunately.
Well, I saw that that one documentary, Beyond the Shadows, or whatever. The one,
Yes.
the one about what
The
really
bodyguard
happens in
or the-
Hollywood.
Yeah. Stuntman.
And it was just, I mean, that was so sick. I don't understand. In Jasmine, you live out there. How do those people live those weird double lives? Like,
They just do. Money, power. They can get away with it. Let them have their way of fetishes. I think it all comes around, or maybe I just want to be that delusional person that thinks this all comes back at some point.
Karma.
One of those girls that was the Epstein, Virginia Giuffre, I think her name was.
Yeah.
I remember when they were specifically looking for her to get her testimony. It was clear as day. And this whole thing now with Peter Nygaard, he's awaiting trial or sentencing. But the girl who gave him those kids, I mean, she's now going to get away with it, and because her husband is a very rich doctor. So it just seems like sometimes there's no justice, and
no, because the more money they are, they're shielded. They're
Well, I guess it depends on which sector
Well,
you talk to in terms of
it's
no
the
justice.
fact that the victim has no rights.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the problem. We're all supposed to have equal rights. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's against their rights. It's against the gays' rights or against their rights or whatever. But what about the victims? Why don't the victims have the same right as everyone else?
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, that list of people that were on those flights, I could tell you there's one celebrity flight, but those are just celebrities going to Epstein's Island. But all these other people, when you see a girl's name on there and it's crossed out, it's because she's underage. So what the hell are these grown men doing on there with these young girls? Not that we need to, know what it is because we know, but it's the same thing. And what did happen to Ghislaine Maxwell? She's gonna get away with it?
Well, she's going to prison. I
She's in prison right now, but it's
Yeah.
the Taj Mahal of prison.
Oh,
Really?
lovely.
Yeah.
How lovely.
Yeah, she's going to nice white
I want to live
collar.
in that prison.
Like a big spa.
Oh, really?
Which is
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, she should. It's a sin, and that she's gonna live her best life ever there. It's like spitting in the faces of the victims, is what she's doing.
Yep.
Flashback to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Julian Assange gets persecuted for blowing stuff up and just putting information out there. He gets persecuted for putting information out there. But and by the way, I've been a big proponent of freeing Julian Assange. Because the guy was doing God's work, putting information out there and letting people be the judge of what it is. And excuse me, I'm so sorry. I gotta take this.
Oh, you're good. I'll
Who
take
is
it
it?
over for you, man. It's yeah.
Well, that's
I mean everything
now,
with
is it apparently everything.
I want to know.
and
now.
everything with Julian Assange is
God,
crazy.
he's gone finally.
And everything with Assange has been crazy because he gets arrested for telling the truth.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part about it.
For me, he was really.
Yeah, and he didn't even steal anything. It was sent to him.
I'm a
Everything
little
he
younger
put
than a lot
on
of-
his website was from whistleblowers. So he didn't even actually steal it. He just provided a place for people to put their stuff, and then he got put in jail for it.
I'm a little younger than a lot of the people on the panel, and for me, Julian Assange was really the wake up call. But a big part of my wake up call to the whole disparity between what's mainstream network news and everything else being nothing more than conspiracy theories that I would never even pay attention to. And he was the wake up. He was a big part of the wake up call I needed to get my head straight on this whole thing. So, as much as everybody is saying free Julian Assange, I'm definitely on board with that, big time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm even for it with Snowden. And I know a lot of people, and I understand the case they make of he did go against technically he went against his oath for the, against the U.S. government, or at least that's the case that they make, but was his oath not to the Constitution and not to the apparatus that is
There's
the
definitely
U.S.
a fine
government,
line
or
on
who
that
is
one.
whoever is the controlling party. And at a certain point in time, because I've heard the argument many times of like, oh, well, if you're in the military, you're part of the government, you're supposed to have trust, put your faith in the system. It's like, yeah, well, what if you know and you have evidence that the system is abusing constitutional rights of their own citizens?
Mhm.
They're doing something unconstitutional. I think it was his duty to come out and say what he said and put the information out there. I think it's sad that the only place that's taken him in is Russia. I think that's sad.
Well, that's another thing that was in
sweet
that
irony.
documentary when they were talking about when the one woman was talking about all the soldiers that she believes within 5 years that our military would be depleted to less than a third. That was one of the things that the one woman that was in charge of the military vaccination schedule and stuff. I'm going to have to watch it a couple times though and take notes to try to remember everything. It was so much information packed into it, but the whole thing is it just blows my mind, and it really should scare the shit out of everybody to know that you're one of the people.
Yeah.
You're on that list that those people they were talking about want to get rid of. And as of watching what they've done already, just to get what they did do, that they'll stop at nothing to get rid of
There's
us.
a small part of my brain that almost feels like, honored that like I'm one of those people, but obviously I know the big picture and I can never actually truly feel that way.
Yeah.
So
it's mind blowing. It really is. It's incomprehensible. I mean, it's really terrible. The whole thing. I don't know how we're gonna recoup from it. I really don't.
I was just
I mean,
watching some. Okay.
No, go ahead, Jasmin.
I was just watching something. I forgot which network it was on, but they were saying that now they're coming out with a vaccine to help you if you took the vaccine before and you had a bad reaction from it. And I've never had a flu vaccine.
is that enough of a red flag? Just that
Yeah.
that sentence alone.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Exactly.
Vaccine to help the vaccine. Yeah.
I've never
Jasmin,
taken that vaccine.
you could wax on this all you want, but you really don't need to go any further as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had. I'm afraid of needles, but I'll go get IV infusions all day and all night, or go get tattoos. But this whole thing, I've never even had a flu vaccine, and they're trying to push that. I got a call from UCLA today. Oh, we see that you haven't been in for your flu vaccine. I'm like, I've never had a flu shot in my life. I'd rather get sick and feel like shit like today. That's fine, because I'll get through this in another day, and I'll be okay.
It also prevents your immune system from being able to build up naturally against it.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm supposed to be careful about these discussions
Too
on
late.
YouTube, but yeah, and I think that's part of what they tried to do with the whole, the jabs that were going around for the past 2 years, is that they're trying to squash natural immunity for people, because they want, for when something really bad comes out, they want it to be able to take out as many people as possible. It all comes back to depopulation. Now, I don't have anything to prove that. It's a bit conspiratorial, entirely conspiratorial, but
Well, yeah, the whole documentary is these people's point of view because of their jobs. And the one gentleman that was talking about the infant mortality rate, when he showed the graph and it showed Australia at 700% rise, I was just floored, because there's just no way that any scientist in any planet could say that that's a natural curve, and it has nothing to do with being vaccinated. It just doesn't there's no logical thing. And then to have the dingbat come out today and do his speech after me seeing that, just that one graph makes him look like a total piece of shit. In my eyes. I was trying to word it to where it wasn't so I don't know. I'm just going to tell everybody, you've got to watch this. Just watch it, try to absorb as much as you can, and then come to your own answers in your mind and research whatever it is that you think you need to find out more from watching it, and see what you come up with and what logical ideas come to mind when you watch it.
I sorry about that, by the way. That was
Who was it?
work related. That's why I had to take it. So
No, you're only going to get those calls for a little while longer, right?
yeah, yeah. Thankfully, no. So to give people some background, real quick, I put in my 2 weeks notice at work because work is slowing down. We're not going to have a whole lot of work orders for Spectrum anymore. For just the work is just this is the slow time of year. And number two was, with everything in the state of flux right now, with me trying to get the house on the market, trying to get things done here, I need to be here to actually get things done. So all that said, I put in my 2 weeks at work. This is the first week of it, and the next week will be my final week. And then from there on out, I'm just going to be working from home, doing content, and also I'll probably do some Uber and stuff in between working on the house. So that is where things are at. So just to give you guys a little behind the scenes, I want to make sure that the house gets on the market all right, and I really want to get out of here because I want to move, you guys. I want to start over.
Tennessee.
No, I'm moving to Tennessee.
Tennessee. How about Florida?
I thought about
one of my mother's favorite songs.
I was actually thinking about moving to Florida, and then I was like, I've got a little bit of family in Knoxville. I'm going to move to Tennessee, and the thing that put it over the top for me was being by the mountains, because I've never been by mountains before. So I was like, I want to live by the mountains.
Nothing against Florida, but scenery wise, the mountains are where it's at.
Yeah. I'm gonna try that one day.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And so that's a little behind the scenes for you, but that's why I had to take that call, because I'm finishing out work.
Yeah.
But man, I'm just so thankful, Jasmin, to be friends with you and know you, and it's getting guests on this program. So many times when you see people in like radio or in other mediums, and they just reach out to guests, it's always just a professional thing. But when you can make an actual friendship with somebody and really bond, that's awesome. And I've gotten that with you. I've got that with Alura. I've got that with Eric Matheny. I've got that with Chase Geiser. And, it's so awesome because, you're an amazing person. So,
Me?
yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I thought I was a transphobe. Yeah. No, thank you. I try, and I thank you for giving me a platform to speak about this, because obviously I can't do this all over the place, and I wish I could. I love having these opportunities. They're very golden.
Well, listen, I've caught the heat from the trans mafia before, Jasmin. They've called me all kind of names.
Oh, screw them.
They've called me a transphobe because I historically pointed out that I said, hey, by the way, did you know your obsession with transgenderism? It's not an original thing, okay? The first transgenders were a Dr. Joseph Mengele experiment. So, sorry. History's on my side on that. Look it up. I mean, it's ridiculous, but and they just double down on the rhetoric when I point that out, because they're mad. But hey, look, sorry, not sorry.
Well, how long do you think it's going to be? How long do you think it's going to be before Google and other companies like Google start scrubbing all the past to where you can't look those things up anymore.
They've
Well, it's
already
already
done
happening. I mean,
that.
it's
They've
that
already.
No, I
wouldn't be a
mean
new- that wouldn't be a
completely.
new
Where you
concept
can't
either.
find a single scrap of anything except for what they want you to find.
Why else do you think they made everything digital?
You can't
Deleted.
Listen. Unless they go physically to libraries and burn books, they can't erase all of history. There's just no.
And they're
way.
already doing that too, Drew. They're cleaning out libraries too.
Well, those are just public school libraries specifically. I mean, there's
Well,
still
that's parents. I'm talking about them trying to take documents and paperwork
universities
and
too, Stephen.
books and getting rid of them where you can't look things up. Historical documents. I'm talking about our history, a Civil War, different things like that.
Well, listen. I come from Generation X, and we were the original people that gave the middle finger to authority and said, "Fuck you." We're gonna do shit our way. We're gonna choose to believe what we believe, and that hasn't changed. I believe what I believe. And the authority may change. The parties might have switched, but they're still the same people, and I still have my middle finger in the air at them because, they don't control me. I'm in control of my thoughts. I'm in control of what I believe. And I choose to do my own research, and I choose to bring those findings to other people and help open their eyes and let them figure out for themselves what they believe. But because I believe that, because that's how meritocracy works. And, all of this stuff that we're living under, this cultural Marxism, is bullshit. Jasmine grew up at the same time I did. She knows.
I didn't really grow up, but at least not emotionally. But
Well,
I just
Why nitpick?
Exactly. But like you're saying all this stuff about research. Here's something to think about. So we're in this society where you have these ridiculous people, and they're just lazy. You see the way they dress with their bitch buns and their sweats and their slippers out in public on a Friday night, or just in general. This is how they present themselves. They're lazy. So they're not going to do their research, number one. Number two, they have no issues co-parenting with the government. Why would they want to put any work into their kids? Because they don't put work into themselves, and they're lazy. And this is what we're dealing with, a lazy generation. Not everyone, but there are quite a few of them that are out here. They're just lazy.
Yep.
They don't want to work, and they really are entitled. They live with their parents. It's just sometimes I wish, you could just sometimes I could wish I could be invisible sometimes and just kind of do some things and get away with it. But I guess it's only the movies.
I
do
want to
go ahead, Stephen.
As the millennial here, I do want to throw out a little bit of support for some of my own people. Now, certain people have become very nihilistic, and I will admit that is an issue. But there is a major problem that has happened with my generation, and that not everybody did what I did and had the forethought at a very young age to get into the housing market when houses were at their lowest. I went ahead and bought rather than renting when I was 22, 23. And not everybody had the opportunities I had either. There's a lot of other places in the country where people who were my age then, where they were living, were unable to afford to be able to purchase a home, and they couldn't really start making meaningful investments at a young age. Job growth has been stale for a long time. It's been static. Wage growth has been even more static for a long time. And people who are in my age range have had it very difficult for them to be able to get into these areas. And it has created a lot of apathy and a lot of nihilism, which is not the right route that they should be going through. So it is a very unfortunate situation. And, it wasn't Gen Xers. A lot of people like to put it on Gen Xers. It was the previous generation. It was the boomers. And pretty much everything since World War II is really what it's been, that we've had extreme amounts of government spending. And the boomers are getting to enjoy all of the benefits of the massive amount of spending that they did over, a 40, 50-year period. And now it's the millennials. And then beyond us, it's going to be Gen Z who are really having to pay off all of that debt. And it's severely harmed our ability to have upward mobility. So that's part of
No,
the reason why a lot of people do appear lazy. And some people are lazy because they've given in to apathy and nihilism. But unfortunately, a lot of us have been dealt a bad hand, and not many people know how to get out of it.
No,
No,
well, there's a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s that aren't even in the mindset that you are right now about
That's
wanting
so
to be
true.
self-sufficient. So you should applaud yourself for already having those goals and mindset. So you had great parents, apparently parents that instilled in you good values and wanting for you to be able to take care of yourself. That's what I've seen a lack of parents stepping in and being parents. They all want to be their kids' best friend instead of trying to teach them right from wrong and what's important and how to end up getting a job and taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
You know what? And
It's been a
it's
bit
funny
of
you say
both.
that. I'm sorry, Stephen, but it's funny you say that because those are also the kind of people that a lot of those people are trying to put into office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they're trying to put in the office. That's the same concept. I want my mom to be my best friend, my dad to be my best friend, and I want this guy I'm putting into office to be a guy I can have a beer with.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I will say for my own personal situation, it's a little bit of luck and a little bit of preparation at the same time. And that you're right, my parents did try to instill certain hard work values with me, and they taught me to save my money and all of this stuff, so that when I did get my first real job type job, and I wasn't working in restaurants and making shit when I finally got back into warehousing, other than when I was a teenager and did that for a short period, I did save my money up. So, and because one of the biggest ways my parents helped me out, other than the values they had taught me, is they were pretty light on me for the bills. A lot of people when they're 20 years old and they're living with their parents, they're going to charge them rent, and which I think is reasonable. But my parents saw that I was saving my money. They saw I was taking more than 30% of what I was making, and it went straight into a savings account.
Mhm.
And so they were like, you know what, you're going to save up your money. You go ahead and do that. And so they were kind of light on me with that, and I appreciate them very much for that. And then they also gave me a lot of heads up when they were moving, because like I didn't move out of the house, they moved away from me, kind of deal. And so yeah, and I hit the market at the perfect time. That's where the luck comes in. It was right after the housing bubble had crashed, so it was starting to build back up, and those houses were going on the market at a very good price, which is what millennials need to look out for. You need to start saving up your money now, because in 3 to 5 years after the housing market crashes, it's going to start picking back up. There's going to be a lot of affordable housing that hits the market again that will be within your pay range, because wages are finally starting to catch up after years of stagnation. I mean, I'm not a proponent of minimum wage, but we can use that as a metric. Minimum wage since I started working has gone up $1. I started working when I was 14 years old. I'm 32 now, so I've got 17 years of work experience. It was $6.50 when I had my first job. It's now $7.50. So we've barely seen minimum wage even go up in 17 years.
Yeah.
Where is that?
What, the minimum wage?
No, what state are you in?
Oh, I'm in Georgia.
Okay.
Which has very low housing costs depending on where you are.
Federal? Isn't it a federal mandate, minimum wage? It's state by state?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
It's a weird thing. There's the federal minimum wage, and then there's beyond that, there's statewide minimum wages that some places do. But if you're in the state, you have to keep to the state. The federal is kind of like the minimum, which is where most states put it.
See.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Behave, but that state better behave, or federal is going to get involved.
Well, the biggest thing is, there's going to be economic reform at some point. If we're able to get out from under the thumb of authoritarianism, and at some point, the people really are able to live free, what is going to happen is there's going to be economic reform that has never been seen in our lifetime, because when somebody has guts to do it, we will finally get off the system of central banks, when people realize that the central bank cartel has always been in control, and they finally kick them the fuck out, say you're not in control. So, but I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime, but we're going to see that eventually, because people are going to wake up to that formula. We're telling them, we're giving them the ammo now, But eventually, at some point, and it might be another couple generations from now, whatever, they're going to get out from under the thumb of that. They're going to get out from globalism and everything else,
Yeah.
and you hope for that, and that's why what we do here is so important, and the things we say and do now are going to have lasting effects for the next couple generations.
Yeah,
That's why
essential.
That's why I am unabashedly for fighting for it now, even if it seems like sometimes like we're losing, even if it's frustrating at times, whatever. I am dug in, and I am not going to stop fighting. And and that's what I admire about each and every one of you, because you guys have that fire and that spirit.
So I hate to do this to you guys, but I was feeling a little bit under the weather today. So I appreciate each and every one of you and Drew for having me on this panel and all the people that tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, I kind of have to jump off of here and have some warm tea or something.
All right, Jasmine, anything you want to plug before you go?
Oh,
Go
yeah.
right ahead.
Let's just go on Rumble, Ice Cold Conservative. So my show from Freedom First TV is now on Rumble since we have a station on there. And they're free. There are a bunch of great interviews there. Then on Freedom First TV, Hot Topic. And of course, you could find me on Instagram and on Twitter if you just punch in my name, which is pretty simple.
Yeah, and Jasmine, it's always good having you on. Thank you for being a part of the 50th episode.
Thank you.
I mean, my goodness, we had like an awesome all-star cast today. We had you, we had Alura Jenson, or I should say Elizabeth Spraggins now, and we had Eric Matheny, and you can't get any better than that. When I said, folks, we were going to have a freedom party, I wasn't kidding, because we had three of the best, like, awesome freedom-loving guests that you could ever ask for. And again, thank you so much, Jasmine. And we'll catch up. We'll chat in a couple days for sure. So
thank you. Yeah, God bless.
All right.
Thank you for all the listeners.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Jasmine.
Yeah, have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, kids. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Oh, and with that, I think we're going to get on out of here too, folks. I want to go ahead and we'll go around the panel. We'll let everybody do their outros. And I want to say thank you so much to the chat. Also shout out to Emperor 1G. He was talking earlier about staying in Ohio. Yeah, I thought about it, dude. And there was a couple things I actually looked at here to stay, but I think I'm headed out. Vince, good night, buddy. Love you. Thank you for being here. Keely Chow, thank you, brother. Time Prophet, thank you. Trinoculus, of course. Trinoculus, man, was killing it in the chat tonight. Dwayne Erickson, you and Rita are amazing. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Vince and Fury Kitten and TZ Burton and Radioactive and my goodness, we had cast thousands. Brian Stay was here, so Assassin was here. We just had everybody under the sun, and we peaked. I think I want to say around 36 again, which is awesome. Cleanser and Godzillionaire. And
finally I get to round it up to 40.
Yvonne Jimenez Guzman, thank you for being here. Thank you guys also for the super chats, and thanks Gap. Thank you for being here. To Helam, Tobat, and another monster. Yeah, my goodness, Parrothead was here, and Papa Cotton, of course, and man, we just had so many awesome people. Smart Lawyer was here earlier when Eric was on, so shout out to him. Resolute Germ, My goodness. We just had a cast of thousands. Obviously, thank you to Godzillionaire Trina, Tina Bojan, everybody that was modding today. Thank you so much. Gap as well. All right. We will go over to Will.
I was afraid if you kept that up much longer, we were going to break the internet. I mean, just amazing. Listen, as far as terminology, when it comes to the term living up to the hype, this show was more than worthy of being the 50th show. I mean, we ran long tonight, and we ran long for a goddamn good reason. And the panel, as always, was fantastic. Drew, I don't know what it is about you, but you just get the best. You just get the best guests. Eric is awesome. Elizabeth, see, I got her name right. I got her name right for the first try. What a trooper, just coming on after same day surgery. Jasmin, Charlie Bronson ain't got shit on you. 50 in the books. The next 50. I can't wait, and I hope I'm here for every single one of them.
All right, and I appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, Tolbat is looking for you to make a channel.
Be careful what you wish for.
And do a show with him. So yeah, he's gonna keep after you about that.
He'll get his eventually.
So let's go over to
Friendly with love,
Janet from another planet.
Well, thank you for having me tonight, Drew. I enjoyed it. It was fun. You had some great guests, and it was nice to hang out with the rest of the panel. And I'm looking forward to having a relaxing Thanksgiving weekend, and hopefully I'll be traveling to Texas to visit some relatives if things work out. And come check out my shorts on my channel if you want to see some of my little videos. And I'm also reading my book, Revelation. It's about vampires, witches, and warlocks, archangels, and familiars. And on Monday nights, I do movie reviews with Bruce Lombardi of his Dick's Division channel. And then, I'm here on Tuesday with Drew's wonderful channel. So thank you, and hope to see you guys next week.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to my Twitch people. Again, thank you to Tappy for being here on the Twitch side. Thank you to FL Line 202112 jumping in on the Twitch side and checking it out. It really makes me happy that a lot of people that I started off with in the streaming landscape. I didn't know maybe at the time that they were patriots, because back then when we were streaming, nobody cared. We didn't talk about politics. We were just streaming video games. We were having a good time. But now it's a way of the world, and it's so nice to know that I've got some free thinkers and some patriots over in the Twitch sphere. And that my longtime friends that I streamed with, we can chat about that, and we can talk about that. So shout out to them. Lion, great to see you, man, and I appreciate you. We'll have to catch up soon, and the same thing with you, Tappy. We'll have to do some streaming soon. And last but not least, let's go over to the man that really helped me out and kept things together tonight, and that is Mr. Free Speech Gaming. Steven, go ahead and tell people what's going on.
Everybody, you know what's going on. I just had a great 2.5 hours here hanging out with my friends, hanging out with all of my friends here in the chat and on the panel. Great time. Fucking bomb-ass 50th episode here. You can find me Fridays on my second channel. Links are all in the chat, because that's what I do most of the time here, just copy and pasting. Second channel, Blast from the Past Reviews, where you can find me Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, reviewing movies. This week, we're not doing a movie review. We're just doing a chat. We go back and forth every other week, but the following week, I don't think I've announced it yet, so this is the opening announcement. We are doing one of my all-time favorite movies, the 1941 classic Maltese Falcon, starring Humphrey Bogart. It's the
Nice.
it's the road. It created the roadmap that became film noir, one of my favorite genres, and I'm getting ready to dig into it. And I'd love to have as many of you guys over there to come and join us in the chat as we talk about this movie. Sunday, and actually after that, on Fridays, after that show, you can find me over on Ord's World on his YouTube channel is where we're going to be doing it. Last time was on Twitch. I believe it's going to be YouTube, but keep your eye on both of his Twitch and YouTube. So he streams on both. But Friday, we're going to be doing the after party where we're going to be shit talking each other while playing Mario Kart. And let me tell you, this last Friday was tons of fun. I'm looking really forward to getting into a proper episode this coming Friday. So please go and check that out. And then Sundays, I'm over on the same channel for the Sunday morning podcast where we just get high as hell and talk nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. It's totally kick-ass. You guys would love it. So please come and follow me in all those places. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Chat, I was paying attention to you guys the whole time. You were just, as always, you guys were going nuts in there. You were awesome. Just messages coming in left and right. I couldn't even keep up with all of it. But thanks all of you guys for being here. I mean, you're really what keeps us all together and wanting to move forward with this is you solid people who show up every week. So thanks all of you. You're the reason we've hit 50 and we're going to keep going. Like Etem said when he left, onward and upward.
That's me at Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's right, man. You know, I'm telling you guys, it's only going to get better because we're going to keep efforting to get great guests on, have great discussions, talk in an unfiltered manner. And I know YouTube doesn't like it. I know that I'm going to get at some point persecuted by YouTube. Listen, all of us here on the panel know it. Those of you in the chat know it. I'm just hoping that they don't go the route that they did with Wes. I'm hoping I don't catch it as hard as Wes did, but you know, I'm prepared for that. And if they do, I have my Twitch channel. I have my Odyssey. So I will be there. And I know that, you know, I've got good stuff coming up on the horizon. Now that I can make some extra time after I finish up work this next week, I'm going to work on putting together a member stream type of thing. Because I know Terminus was alluding to it, and so was a couple of other people. So I'm going to look to do that, put together a membership on the YouTube channel. And also, I want to get some more content going on the Twitch side, and I'll start going back to a little bit of game streaming and stuff here and there.
Back to the well.
I mean, because I'm aching for a little bit of that nostalgia, man. I want to do that again. So I'll do what I can before I move. And then after I get all moved and relocated, guys, it's only going to get better because one of the things, obviously, when I sell the house, one of my first purchases is I'm going to update my equipment and buy a brand new rig and you know, really go, no pun intended, balls deep into streaming. So,
and you know, when Drew goes balls deep, somebody's getting hurt. Beware the Drew.
That's right. So thank you guys for being here again. You know, be here for the next 50. I love you, chat. And, you know, I will see you guys next week for another episode of Unite Resistance. Don't forget, we've got Midnight Prism coming up Sunday. And oh, by the way, one of the cool things I will let you guys in on, those of you that tune into the Midnight Prism, I actually had an interaction with the customer from work today, a very nice old man. And he was in the old Strategic Air Command. And he told me at one point he was stationed in Roswell when the stuff was going on. And from what he let me in on, all I can say is, well, there's some truth to that Roswell situation because they were told to keep it from the public, to keep it secret. So that's all I got to say. So wrap your head around that. Those of you that are paranormal heads that love that type of subject matter, and we will pick that up on Sunday. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I love you guys. And oh, by the way,
spending $150 million on cocaine would make sense.
That's right. And we will see you guys later.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, hi, Coast Casino.
Hey, welcome to Sporking News Podcast. My name is Scott.
I'm E. Temple Queen of the Place to Be Reviews.
I am the Patriot, Drew Taylor, aka Supreme Heretic.
The Red Gaze on YouTube, at the Red Gaze on Twitter.
What up, what up, what up?
Hello, everybody. It's me, Vinny.
The voice of Immortal Coil.
Oh, hey, I am the Ghost Bear.
What's going on, Tommy? You didn't get anybody to like this?
Yeah, I'm Wes Moody of the Wes Moody Webcast.
Tony, Death, rockin'. I mean, we have a lot of cool things over there. I did some magic tricks.
Hi, guys. Try to stay here.
My name is Monkey Knight.